Hi everyone, please subscribe to my channel. Blood Immortal. See playlist for other chapters and novels. Join now our Telegram channel now and enjoy exclusive early access. t.me/blood_immortal_official. I do not translate the novels. Credits goes to original translator and author of the novel. I only make it as an audiobook so it would be easier to just listen while doing other things. Credits goes to the author of the novel. I convert stories to audiobook for mental health, for multitasking purpose, for accessibility and time saving. Listening to audiobook is also beneficial for people who have disability. It improves our listening skills and improve our English comprehension, vocabulary and other things. So, thank you for listening. Thank you and thank you very much for your support. Chapter 941, Tyrishan. Chapter 941, Tyrishan. The old Master Bat was dead. The heart of the old Master Thunder skipped a beat upon receiving that final roar of the old Master Bat. To think that the old Master Bat would be dead. This was something that was entirely impossible in his eyes. They were an alliance. Even though the death of the old Master Bat might not have much of an emotional impact on the other utmost powerful beings, this would mean a huge drop in the power of their alliance. Without any hesitation, the old Master Thunder made a trip over to the Bat World immediately. But to his surprise, the Bat World was gone. This was totally one hell of a Mother Sea King dog mess. But at this moment, Lin Fan was the one who felt like he was in a Mother Sea King dog mess. The event that had dealt Lin Fan an immense blow in the feels was that the great sage was bloody leaving. Lin Fan had even thought up all his plans. And yet, the great sage did not follow the course of that plan at all. This was something that had him feeling helpless. Great sage, are you really going to leave? Lin Fan asked with some reluctance. If this guy were to really leave, what was he to do? Initially, he had thought that he could go seek out some isolated utmost powerful beings if the great sage was tagging along with him. But now that the great sage wanted to leave, Lin Fan could feel his balls hurting. Now that these utmost powerful beings have really gone overboard with the bullying, I'm going to go look for my utmost unyielding god set that I've left scattered all around the various worlds. I had initially thought that I wouldn't be using it for the rest of my life. But, to think that these guys would dare to offend the monkey race. This is a vengeance that I must definitely have them pay the price for. The face of the great sage was resolute as he hid a burning rage beneath those eyes. When the great sage had already said things as such, what else could Lin Fan say? After the departure of the great sage, Lin Fan wiped his eyes with some sadness. There went his super brawler. At this moment, Lin Fan let Chicky out. Chicky, who had been enduring within the paradise for a long time now, was naturally infuriated. The moment he came out, he spread out his wings and pecked down at Lin Fan's toes. Old bro, you only think about your Chicky when there's no one else to accompany you. This is way too aggravating. Chicky tossed his chicken head aside and commented in a huff. Hee. Lin Fan could only give an awkward chuckle. After all, Chicky's words were right on the spot. He then grabbed Chicky and placed onto his shoulders. All right, don't think too much now. It's time for us to set forth. Lin Fan hadn't thought of where he should be heading off to right now. However, given the current situation, it'd be best to take things one step at a time. The most important thing was raising one's strength. Raising his strength was the only way he could continue fighting with the utmost powerful beings till the final moment. Even Lin Fan was feeling a little afraid over the words of the demonic god Pangu. This was the final era. If they couldn't transcend through, they would just die off. How could Lin Fan endure a fate as such? All of them were people who had lived for countless of eras now. And yet, your daddy here had only been living for barely a few years. If he were to really die, that would be one hell of a huge loss. Lin Fan leapt through multiple of worlds. But just at this moment, Chicky started getting excited. Old bro, I can feel the aura of Chicken Big. Lin Fan was stunned. Wasn't Chicken Big that flamboyantly rich son of Chicky? But, something was not right. Chicken Big should be over at the colossal dragon race. How could he possibly appear here? You're not hallucinating, are you? How in the world could he possibly be here? Lin Fan asked. Your Chicky will definitely not sense wrongly. He's here, just right ahead. Chicky waved his wings up high and cried out. Lin Fan shrugged his shoulders before diving into the void. He had to see if this was real or not. Within a single breath, he traveled 10,000 miles. Right now, within a patch of forest. The shining golden Chicken Big was feeling infuriated at this moment. With that small little chicken feet of his, he stamped down as those small little chicken eyes glared at the few figures ahead of him with an overbearing aura. It was as though he could rush up at their lives at any moment now. Chicken Big hadn't expected that there would be these few fellas who would dare to humiliate him. This was too damned accursed. Standing before Chicken Big, a few men and women looked at him with a high and mighty expression. Their lips curled out with disdain. Hooey, little mixed breeds who can't even shapeshift. And yet, you guys are thinking of forming a party with us for the expedition. Know your place. A man with a divine celestial level 8 cultivation state bore down with a look of contempt. Looking at that gaudy Chicken Big, he spoke out in mockery. Cuckoo, you guys are simply too much. Chicken Big was angered now as his eyes spat out with fire. It was as though he really wanted to go at their lives at this moment. Oh, what now? Are you craving for a fight? Just with these two little creatures like you who can't shapeshift? The man asked in disdain. Hearing him, everyone beside him started roaring out in laughter. Honestly, everything just sounded so laughable. The group of them had come here to explore, and was prepared to check out a secret ground. But, to think that these two strange-looking fellas would appear. And the moment they spoke up, they spoke of wanting to form a party to clear the secret ground together. As for these guys, they naturally could not be bothered with these two shish-ts who couldn't even shapeshift. Therefore, they decided to mock and humiliate them. I'm going to have it out with you. Chicken Big could endure it no longer. The golden accessories on his body clanged out as he spread out his wings, determined to show these fellas a lesson. But at this moment, a small white dog that was standing beside Chicken Big spread open both legs and held Chicken Big back. He then tossed his dog head and glared at the few people before him with those black dog eyes of his. Big brother Chicken, calm down. Don't be brash now. This little white dog was also a mixed breed who could only speak and not shapeshift. When he met Chicken Big, it was like they were kindred spirits as they formed a close friendship immediately. Against these few fellas before him, the little white dog could feel that the situation wasn't favorable for them. If they were to strike out, it was very possible that they might get roasted by the other side. Little brother dog, make way. There's no way I can calm down. Chicken Big cried out in wrath. Ha ha ha, look at these two trashes. That's just absolutely hilarious. The man broke out into laughter. Let's go. Who knows what in the world these two shish-ts are? To think that they can even speak in human tongue. One of the women laughed out. I'd still recommend that we roast and eat them up. A muscular man said. ... Little brother dog, let go. I really can't bear with it anymore. Kukkik-koo. At this moment, Chicken Big was enraged. As he flipped over both of his tiny claws, a frightening figure bolted out at the few people ahead. Chicken Big's fury. Chicken Big bellowed out and opened his beak as a fiery blaze surged out. Big brother Chicken, let me help you. Woof woof. The little white dog barked out as all four of his paws scratched on the ground. FCK the heavens, FCK the earth, FCK the air. The few men and women were momentarily astounded at this scene before them. It was as though they hadn't expected that the other side would actually strike out. Not good. That white mixed bread shit can alter time and space. One of the men slashed out at that white dog with a sword. But all of a sudden, that white dog disappeared from between the heaven and earth as though he had never appeared at all. Save me. All of a sudden, one of the women started shrieking out in absolute fright. When they turned around, all they saw was that little white dog pinning the woman down onto the ground. The body of that little white dog started moving furiously as a tremendous power erupted forth. In front of this power, everything in the world must be disintegrated into dust as well. The body of that little white dog was filled with curly fur. Even though his body frame was small, when he went berserk, he was filled with an unparalleled tyranny. All you bunch of B***stards had better remember. The name of your dog granddaddy is Tai Ri Tien, nicknamed Teddy King. Chapter 942 The Final Shard. Chapter 942, The Final Shard. A battle was something that was often unavoidable. But in life, outcomes were mostly unpredictable. For these people right here, they could not have ever imagined that these two weird-looking chicken and dog would actually possess such formidable strength. It was especially the case for that chicken. The flames that he blew out of his beak were no normal flames. To think that they could eat right through their defensive barrier made up of their powers. If they had even touched those flames, they might not have been able to get rid of them at all. Even a Dao weapon longsword was burnt to a crisp just by touching those flames. This was a situation that had gone far beyond their wildest imaginations. At the same time, that domineering dog was only targeting the women specifically. He traveled through space and time directly. By the time he reappeared, he would pin down the other party entirely without any chance for them to fight back at all. Woof, woof. A gut-smashing bark rang out. By the time they turned around and caught sight of that white figure, they would then be pushed down onto the ground, followed by a series of tragic wails that were relentless. Kuk-kuk-goo. Woof, woof. Standing side by side, Chicken Big and Tai Rishan looked at the people who were lying on the ground miserably. They then let out looks of disdain. HMPH. You guys really don't know what's good for you to anger my big brother Chicken. Woof, woof, Tai Rishan said tyrannically. When the women especially caught sight of the figure of Tai Rishan, their faces were ever so pale from being frightened. It was as though they had just seen a ghost. Chicken Big was wearing his silver and gold accessories while raising that chicken head of his high with pride, wanting to form a party with you guys as an honor for you all. And yet, you even dared to look down on the two of us. Do you know of our strength now? All of the masses who were taken down by Chicken Big could not dare to believe everything that was happening right now. To think that the few of them would actually be defeated by these unknown things. If word of this were to get out, they would definitely be laughed at to death. Chicken Big. All of a sudden, a chicken's crow rang out. Chicken Big jerked his head around furiously as those chicken eyes of his shone with an exceptional brilliance. Daddy. When Lin Fan arrived at the scene and caught sight of everything that had happened, his face changed. So tyrannical, to think that they would have taken down an entire group of people. But, when he looked over at that little white dog, Lin Fan was confounded. Wasn't this a teddy poodle? How in the world would there be something as such in this world? Tai Rishan looked over at Lin Fan and Chicky. His eyes let out a wary expression as he wondered who these people were. Chicken Big was extremely excited at this moment. Ever since he had come out of the base of the colossal dragon race, he had been wandering around aimlessly. If not for the fact that he had bumped into Tai Rishan, no one would know of the sorrows of a lonely chicken. Chicken Daddy, this is Tai Rishan, my good buddy. Chicken Big introduced. Little brother dog, this is my Chicken Daddy. Chicky came before Tai Rishan and extended his wings. Yes, since you're the friend of your Chicky's son, you're naturally one of us. Tai Rishan raised his paws and shook it together with Chicky's wings. Hello, Chicken Uncle. Lin Fan was just dumbfounded watching everything before him right now. To think that chicken and dogs could really turn into good friends. However, there was something that he could not figure out at all. Just what was the background of this Tai Rishan? Master. Chicken Big came beside Lin Fan and started hugging his leg excitedly once more. You're called Tai Rishan? Lin Fan asked. That's right. Woof, woof. Tai Rishan tossed his dog head and replied imposingly. Little brother dog, this is my master here. You've got to be more respectful. Chicken Big tossed back his chicken head and said. Yes, big brother chicken. Tai Rishan nodded his head. Lin Fan felt that he had to clarify this issue no matter what. He then pointed out with his finger as a power of time enveloped Tai Rishan. Woof, woof. Tai Rishan got extremely nervous for a moment after he felt his body being caged up by a mysterious power. But when he discovered that there was nothing threatening about this, he heaved out a sigh of relief. Lin Fan found Tai Rishan's bloodline and continued to trace it down. At this moment, a series of images appeared before Lin Fan. The place in these images. Wasn't that Earth? On the roads, there was a teddy poodle that was crossing the roads. All of a sudden, a truck flew over and rammed at the teddy poodle. However, right at the moment when the accident occurred, a void current appeared and teleported this teddy poodle to another place altogether. The images changed. The teddy poodle that was rammed by the truck landed within a lush forest. On the ground of that lush forest was an old ancient beast with an utmost pure bloodline that laid there motionlessly and fatigued, as though it had eaten something wrong. As for that teddy poodle that had just been teleported over, it was still carefree and relaxed. But, the moment he caught sight of a female beast that was lying there all defenseless, his lust was thoroughly invoked as he sprinted over furiously. And instantly, he, F-seek the heavens, F-seek the earth, and F-seeked the air. Eventually, that teddy poodle which had just had the FC king of his life and was feeling extremely pleasured left just like that. However, there was something extremely scary that had happened. After that female beast had recovered from everything and returned to her base, she found out that she was pregnant. After he looked through all the images, Lin Fan was just thoroughly sold by life's tricks. Seemed like those were the reasons behind all of this. Once upon a time, an ordinary teddy poodle of the earth appeared in this world because of an accident and left a seed here. And that seed was none other than the Tai Rishan of today. Sold. No matter what it was, Lin Fan could only acknowledge the strings of life and fate. When Lin Fan looked at all the people who had been FCKED over onto the ground by Chicken Big and Tai Rishan, he could only say that it was just their luck for having met with the Teddy King of the Legends. Let's go. Lin Fan did not want to linger at this place any longer. After all, there was no meaning to it. He then brought all of them with him into the voids. After Lin Fan and the others left, the living beings who had been FCKED over by Chicken Big and Tai Rishan could not help but heave out a sigh of relief. In their eyes, the man who had just descended earlier on had an extremely strong aura. He was definitely no simple man. But all of a sudden, one of them gasped out. Guys, wait, don't you think that man from earlier on resembled the Mother ** Sea King Human King? I truly didn't notice before you mentioned it. But now that you said it, he does look the exact same as the image that the old master had left behind. Hurry up and report this back to the old master. Tell him that we've located the whereabouts of the Mother * Sea King Human King. We will definitely gain a huge credit for this. ... Where were the both of you headed for initially? Once they were traveling within the void, Lin Fan asked. Master, I've found a treasure in a pond along with little brother Dog. There were many secret grounds recorded within it, and we were just looking for these secret grounds. Chicken Big said. Oh, let me see. Lin Fan was interested now. Something that had a record of secret grounds. That was pretty magical, wasn't it? When Chicken Big took the treasure out, Lin Fan's eyes brightened up. This was a map. However, the texture of the material used for the map was pretty magical now. However, there was a particular secret ground that had Lin Fan's attention. Empty Ashes Secret Ground. Possesses countless elixirs. Shard of the Eternal Axe. Lin Fan wasn't too bothered with everything else that was listed there. But there was one thing that drew his attention over, Shard of the Eternal Axe. Even though the Eternal Axe was a legendary item, it was something that was damaged. Along his journey all this while, Lin Fan had been looking for and collecting the remnant shards. However, he just couldn't find any of it anywhere else at all. But now, this was interesting. To think that there would be a secret ground which possesses the Shard of the Eternal Axe. Only, Lin Fan wondered who in the world it was that would leave behind a map as such. And not only that, this person had even discarded it within a pond. Now, that was pretty darn tyrannical, wasn't it? Lamb _ but this is pretty interesting. This makes it sound like the Eternal Axe is something that's exceptionally incredible. And if that's the case and the Supreme Being was the one who was in possession of it initially, could he have only been a divine celestial cultivation state being? HMMs. Mysterious. Cheers. Chapter 943 You're Too Pretty. Chapter 943, You're Too Pretty. This Empty Ashes secret ground was a place that they had to cross 3 more worlds before arriving at. However, for Lin Fan, all of this was something that could be done through a single thought of his. It was just that, Lin Fan was pretty bothered with why Chicken Big had left the base of the colossal dragon race. But, after he probed about it, he found out that it was because Chicken Big had decided to head out into the world to explore and search for more golden shining accessories. Within the colossal dragon race, all of those colossal dragons took everything that was golden as a precious treasure. None of them would give up any of their gold at all. How could Chicken Big endure something as such? Therefore, he just decided to strike it out on his own and explore the world for gold. However, Lin Fan could tell that there were several hundred formations that were hidden in the body of Chicken Big. These formations would not activate unless it was an extremely critical moment. Seemed like that fella, the dragon ancestor, did indeed dote on his grandson a lot. This must have been done because he was afraid that Chicken Big might meet with dangers out in the world. At this moment, Lin Fan cut the void with his bare hands and entered it after that. Several hours after Lin Fan was gone, the void trembled out as a figure appeared. Damn it, where in the world has that Mother * Sea King Human King run off to? Lin Fan already had his track being sniffed up by an utmost powerful being. But at this moment, he himself was still in the dark about it. Boom. The moment Lin Fan came out, a thunderbolt flashed out inches away from his face and scared him so badly that he stumbled out a few steps back. When he took a look at the world around him, his face froze up slightly. All he saw was that the void was lined with gray ashes. It looked like a scene of doomsday. Within those gray ashes, a series of thunderbolts that possessed a devastating aura crossed one another. The power of these thunderbolts varied from one another. For the beings of the Thunder race, these thunderbolts might not do any damage to them, but for beings of any other race, they would be extremely scary. To think that this would be a barren world that was filled with an endless amount of dangers. A barren world as such was one that was the most dangerous. However, there would be many miraculous encounters within it as well. Therefore, they were still places that many powerful beings would be willing to head to. If Lin Fan wanted to cultivate a barren world as such with his current strength, that was something absolutely impossible. However, if the barren world were to show no resistance, he would definitely have a huge confidence in being able to cultivate it. But eventually, these were all just Lin Fan's one-sided thoughts. If he wanted a barren world to not resist at all, that would be something harder than even ascending the heavens. Comparing the bad world that he had cultivated and this barren world, they belonged to completely different levels. Right now, it was inconvenient for Lin Fan to appear with his true face. After all, if he were remembered by people who harbored intentions towards him, that would be one load of a trouble for him. With that, Lin Fan changed his appearance. You guys be careful now. Don't get separated from me. Initially, Lin Fan had wanted to toss Chicky and the others in his paradise. But, they just wouldn't agree to it with even if it would cost their lives. They felt that there was no way they could grow if they didn't go through some trials and tribulations. The words of Chicky and the others were something Lin Fan naturally took with a pinch of salt. All Chicken Big wanted was golden shining accessories, Tai Rishan wanted to FCK the heavens and the earth. As for Chicky, he naturally just wanted to breathe in the outside air. Given Lin Fan's current strength, if he wanted to protect them, that naturally wouldn't be much of an issue. As long as there were no utmost powerful beings, anyone else wouldn't pose trouble. But, when Lin Fan arrived at the Empty Ashes secret ground, he found a lot of people gathered around. The arrival of Lin Fan and the others drew a lot of attention from everyone else. For all of these living beings, it was truly the first time they had seen a combination as such. But, in the eyes of Lin Fan, this Empty Ashes secret ground didn't seem too secret after all. To think that there would be so many people here. Also, when Lin Fan caught sight of the map in the hands of the masses, he was completely dumbfounded. Why the hell did the map in their hands look exactly the same as the one that Chicken Big and Tai Rishan had discovered? This didn't make sense at all. Was there some B** starred behind all of this? Furthermore, this bloody plot seemed suspiciously familiar. Fellow brother, how about joining our party? At this moment, a man came forth and asked with a smiling face. This man had caught sight of how Lin Fan had so many pets with him. And not only that, all of these pets had a pretty decent aura. By the looks of it, he should be some powerful being. As such, he wanted to form an alliance and explore this secret ground together with him. Big brother there, how about joining the party of this little sister here? A bunch of flirtatious skanks came over and flirted with Lin Fan seductively. It was as though as long as Lin Fan joined their party, he could do anything he wanted with them. Lin Fan wasn't interested in stuff like that. But, when Tai Rishan took a look at these girls, he stuck out his tongue and started breathing extremely heavily. When those flirtatious girls looked at Tai Rishan, their brows furrowed as they stepped back. They could feel that something horrifying was about to happen if they were to get any closer. I've already got a party with me, Lin Fan said while pointing out to Chicky and the others. The man then looked at Lin Fan once before walking away. As for those flirtatious girls, they did not say anything more and changed the target straight away. At this moment, one of those flirtatious girls came over to a man and pretended as though she had dropped something on the ground. She then said in a gentle voice, "Big brother there, do you want to join the party of this little sister here?" Oopsie, seems like I've dropped something. The flirtatious girl bent over and revealed her entire cleavage. A trap like this was something Lin Fan naturally did not put it to heart at all. But all of a sudden, a white flash of light bolted forth like a shooting star that streaked by Lin Fan's eye. Holy FCK, all of a sudden, Lin Fan recalled a habit of the Teddy King. As long as someone were to bend over or lie down, the Teddy King would immediately rush over to FCK the heavens, FCK the earth, and FCK the air, by habit. The flirtatious girl had wanted to seduce the man before her. But, little did she expect that a white figure would appear behind her and sprawl over her entire back before humping out like crazy. Ah! The flirtatious girl screamed out in shock as she flung Tai Rishan away. In the blink of an eye, Tai Rishan appeared beneath Lin Fan's feet. Woof, woof. The flirtatious girl scolded out angrily, "What's wrong with you? Your pet, he. You're too pretty, so he couldn't help it. He didn't mean it," Lin Fan replied. "You." The face of the flirtatious girl changed. Yet, she did not know what she could reply with. Eventually, she just huffed out angrily before staying far away from Lin Fan. Lin Fan looked at Tai Rishan and sighed out. This was truly an outrageous existence. Boom! All of a sudden, a thunderbolt split the ashes apart and created a rift between the void. This was the entrance to the secret ground, which belonged to a world in a pocket dimension of its own. The empty ashes secret ground has opened up. All the living beings around who had been waiting for a long time now cheered out. They had been waiting for this moment for a long time now. Initially, these living beings were all just like Chicken Big. They had thought that there weren't many people who know about this secret ground. But, it was only after they had arrived here that they realized it was all wishful thinking on their part. They were not the only ones who were in possession of the map, there were many others like them. If one wanted to enter the secret ground, they would first have to go through the berserk void current typhoon on the outside. Those with a weaker cultivation state would very well find themselves being shredded into pieces. Lin Fan brought Chicky and the others with him and took a step forward, crossing through into the secret grounds. All of the living beings outside had deployed all sorts of secret skills to deal with this typhoon. But, when they caught sight of how Lin Fan crossed through everything with such ease, all of them were dumbfounded. Chapter 944 Shard of the Eternal Axe. Chapter 944, Shard of the Eternal Axe. Just what background does this guy have? To think that his physical body would be this strong. Even if it were a divine celestial level 10, eternal god state being, they would be shredded apart by this void current unless they had the help of some secret skill or treasures. A living being of the Horns race exclaimed out in shock. Let's go, we've got to hurry up and catch up. Otherwise, we'll fall behind. That guy is definitely a powerful being. If we're late to the party, we're going to be left with nothing at all. Those flirtatious girls who had wanted to invite Lin Fan to join their party initially let out looks of disappointment on their faces at this scene before them. If they had insisted on clinging on to him, they might have been part of the first wave to enter the secret ground right now. However, it was all too late for regrets already. At this moment, many living beings started deploying their secret skills and bolting right into the void current typhoon to try and force their way through. Due to overconfidence, some of the living beings were minced into shreds by this berserk void current typhoon, vanishing entirely into it forever. At this moment when Lin Fan caught sight of the situation before him, he sighed out. This was quite an extravagant place. The empty ashes secret ground was not like any other place. There was a wide area around it, and it was as huge as an entire world by itself. However, Lin Fan could perceive that this secret ground possessed a tremendous amount of powerful and dangerous auras. It was as though many formidable creatures were lurking in the depths of the abyss, awaiting their praise. Just where in the world is this shard of the Eternal Axe? Lin Fan took out his Eternal Axe, which instantly shivered slightly as though it could sense the part of it that was missing. Pishu! A streak of light burst forth from the Eternal Axe before penetrating into the endless void. Seems like a legendary weapon is a legendary weapon indeed. Even though it's damaged, the weapon spirit within could still sense its missing part. Lin Fan did not hesitate as he chased after that streak of light. As long as he were to follow this streak of light, he would definitely be able to find that shard of the Eternal Axe. As for the other treasures that were within this secret ground, they didn't matter to him. Heck, even if those treasures were placed right before his eyes, they might not be enough to attract his attention. Back when the heaven and earth exploded, there were all sorts of legendary items that had emerged. What sort of treasures had he not seen before? Was there even anything within this secret ground that could match up to those legendary items? Right now, out of all the treasures that could chop someone to death with, the Eternal Axe was the most domineering of them all. If he could gather all the missing shards, the Eternal Axe would definitely be able to unleash its true strength. It's golden, it's golden. At this moment, Chicken Big yelped out. There was a golden ocean up ahead that attracted his attention. But, the moment Chicken Big rushed over, the entire golden ocean started rumbling as a monstrous wave surged up and opened a gigantic mouth filled with blood. The cultivation state of this sea beast wasn't weak. It had a divine celestial level 9 cultivation state, and when it discovered the existence of an outsider, it roared out even more furiously. Kukik-koo. When Chicken Big caught sight of this scene before him, he was scared so badly he started crowing out. The scene before him had his soul scared out of him entirely. Lin Fan sighed and pointed out with his finger. Instantly, that sea beast erupted, causing a sparkling golden stone to rush into the void. Chicken Big leapt up with excitement and bit that golden stone into his beak. He looked extremely exhilarated right now. Treasure, treasure, if I can turn this into a ring, it'll definitely be beautiful. Even though Chicken Big still had some lingering fears over the encounter from earlier, his face was mostly filled with glee from obtaining this golden stone. Lin Fan shook his head. This Chicken Big was really way too ignorant about the world. To think that a mere core of a sea beast could have him taking it as a treasure. This was simply way too ignorant. At this moment, Lin Fan discovered the aftermath of some other battles that had taken place in this secret ground. It was evident that those living beings that had entered after them had started fighting with the creatures in here. Lin Fan arrived at the point where the streak of light that was emanated out of the eternal axe came to a stop. Seemed like this was where the shard of the eternal axe should be lying. Landing from the void, Lin Fan saw the entrance of a cave before him. It was pitch dark beyond the entrance, where one could not see its depths, just like a bottomless abyss. There was a mysterious sound that was coming forth from it, sounding a little like the roar of a wild beast. "Look, the shard lies within there," Lin Fan said. "Old bro, by the looks of it, this looks pretty dangerous," Chicky said. "Woof, woof," Tai Rishan sniffed with his nose, "it's definitely dangerous inside." Just as Lin Fan was about to head in, a few figures appeared before him. Lin Fan's brows furrowed. What in the bloody world was going on right here? Yours truly was here to look for the eternal axe and not any other treasures. What were these guys doing here? Lin Fan looked around. There were 3 men and 1 woman of divine celestial level 9 cultivation state. They could neither be considered as strong nor weak. However, that was sufficient enough for them to explore the entire secret ground. When the 4 of them caught sight of Lin Fan, they frowned as well. Evidently, they hadn't expected that someone would be faster than them. "Fellow brother, are you alone?" At this moment, one of the men asked. They had discussed for an entire day about the map before deciding on this location. This was because this cave entrance was directly linked with some of the other treasure grounds. If they were to enter through here, they would be able to access the other treasure grounds with the shortest route. Yes, Lin Fan nodded his head. But Chicky and the others held their heads high, as too. The faces of the 4 of them changed. Evidently, they hadn't expected that these strange-looking creatures could actually speak in human tongue. At the same time, they could feel that the aura of these creatures wasn't weak at all. Therefore, they did not dare to let their guards down. "Do you want to join us?" the man asked. "It's okay." Lin Fan's goal this time around was to get the shard of the eternal axe. As for the other things, he wasn't bothered about them at all. Therefore, he just rejected them directly. The 4 of them exchanged glances, their eyes shining with a cautious look. The reason why they could seek out this secret ground was all thanks to that map. But little did they expect that there were many other people who had the map. That left them feeling extremely suspicious towards this. However, in the face of treasures, they did not place too much concern on it either. "Fellow brother, there are dangers lurking in all directions within these secret grounds. If you're alone, it will probably be difficult for you to survive through this. How about we just join forces and build an alliance? Everything we get, we'll share it equally. What do you think about that?" the man continued asking. "It's okay," Lin Fan replied indifferently once more. Out of the 4 of them, one of them seemed to have been slightly pissed off. He seemed angry because he felt that Lin Fan didn't give them any face at all. However, he was held back by someone else in the group. Since that's the case, there's no need to force it. Instantly, the 4 of them entered the cave. "Senior brother, why wouldn't you let me teach that guy a lesson?" One of the men spoke up in an indignant tone. "That man isn't a simple one. All those pets around him do not have weak cultivation states either. Since he doesn't want to form a party, so be it. We'll just hurry up ahead and obtain the treasures before the others arrive," a man with red hair replied. After the 4 of them left, Lin Fan continued to sense and feel the mysterious connection he had with the eternal axe before disappearing instantly. As far as Lin Fan was concerned, the thing he wanted the most right now was to obtain the shard of the eternal axe. Within the cave were 6 forks. There was a mysterious feedback of treasures that came from the ends of 3 of those forks. But the destination that he would arrive at by going into one of those 3 forks would not have the shard of the eternal axe. Lin Fan then entered a fork that did not have any aura of treasures. It was there that the shard of the eternal axe lied. Lamb _. Oh well, at least the author made an effort to try explaining about how the eternal axe is the strongest legendary weapon to chop down people. Well, fair enough. Cheers. Chapter 945 Upgraded to a legendary weapon. Chapter 945 Upgraded to a legendary weapon. The deeper Lin Fan entered, the more he could sense how sharp the aura within was becoming. A series of heaven-splitting and earth-cleaving axe flashes shot out and streaked through the heaven and earth as though they wanted to cleave out a whole new world. That razor-sharp aura sliced out at Lin Fan's body. However, given his current physical body state, it definitely wouldn't deal any damage to him. No vel p in .c ohm. This aura is so formidable. Back when I was outside, I couldn't feel it at all. Seems like this should be where the eternal axe shard lies. Lin Fan's heart was overwhelmed with joy. Even though the axe flash was extremely sharp, it wasn't enough to deal with Lin Fan just yet. Who's there? Right at this moment, a grand voice boomed out. This voice was filled with an unrivaled authority, as though it was filled with an unparalleled power that pierced through time and space. This was a voice that had so much power that if it were heard by some beings of a weaker cultivation state, they might even explode literally in the face of it. Haha, Eternal Axe Shard, your granddaddy is here, Lin Fan roared out in joy. Indeed, the place where the Eternal Axe had brought him was where the shard was hidden. However, there was something that bugged him till. Just which B***** was it who had the Eternal Axe Shard hidden here? Back when the infinite worlds had fused together, Lin Fan didn't sense it at all. Because of that, he had thought that the shard did not exist in this world anymore. But, who would have thought that it was hidden in another pocket-dimensional world? When Lin Fan arrived at the endpoint, he found a gigantic shard floating in the void before him. There were many intricate runic symbols inscribed onto this shard, giving off a sharp aura. Lin Fan could sense that this aura was the aura of the Eternal Axe itself. All of a sudden, the shard burst forth with a beam of light, which converged rapidly before it turned into a giant. This giant stamped down onto the world while holding onto a heaven-splitting axe. The aura of this giant was formidable beyond anything else, as though it could slice the entire heaven and earth apart. To think that even a shard could cultivate out a weapon spirit of its own. This wasn't something that Lin Fan couldn't have imagined. It had been a long time since the Eternal Axe was broken. During this long period of time, the shard had formed a Tao of its own and cultivated out a weapon spirit. There was truly nothing that was impossible, it seemed. The aura that was emanating out of this was even more formidable. It was equivalent to a supreme state lower-level cultivation state. Eternal Axe. The moment Lin Fan took out the Eternal Axe, the weapon spirit of the shard opened its eyes intensely with a boundless voice. With that, a tremendous force burst forth from it. It was as though that weapon spirit was bound on devouring the Eternal Axe entirely. Hand the Eternal Axe over to me and I can grant you an unrivaled power. The weapon spirit of the shard bellowed out. His voice was filled with an endless thirst. You're just a single shard. The place where you belong is right within the Eternal Axe. Lin Fan replied. No, I have cultivated through time now, and am gifted and able. I am no longer part of the Eternal Axe. I am an existence of my very own. The weapon spirit of the shard bellowed out with a boundless and authoritative voice. I'm not going to waste my breath on you anymore. You're just a piece of shard and yet you dare to act so audaciously. I'll just take you down first and talk later. Lin Fan was too lazy to say anything more right now. Instantly, he spread his palms out wide and grabbed out at the weapon spirit of the shard. Boom, that's just blasphemous talk. The weapon spirit of the shard roared out as an infinite axe flash bolted up into the sky and pierced through the void before slicing out at Lin Fan. Highs. Lin Fan could only sigh out. This weapon spirit of the shard was only making things difficult for himself. As he spread out his fingers, every single finger seemed to be wrapped with a boundless amount of power which could devastate everything. Even if this weapon spirit of the shard had the strength of a supreme state lower level, it wouldn't help with things at all. Bam, bam, the void exploded out as the power of the weapon spirit of the shard started exploding. With that, a tragic wail rang out. How could this be? The weapon spirit of the shard cried out as though it could not believe everything that was happening before it. Creak, Lin Fan grabbed the weapon spirit of the shard in his hands directly. Please don't kill me. I'm willing to serve you. As long as you don't kill me, I'm willing to give you the greatest powers of all, the power to split even the heavens. The weapon spirit of the shard bawled out. It was as though it had not expected this living being before it to be this formidable. HMPH, you were but a shard to begin with. And yet, you wish to act as though I am the one who has to accede to your request. That's just dreaming now. Lin Fan increased the strength to his palm slightly. Creak. No, the weapon spirit of the shard had not expected that he would actually fall into the hands of a living being. Ding, congratulations on killing weapon spirit of shard of the Eternal Axe. ... Lin Fan did not care about all this at all. He took the shard in his hands and slapped it out onto the Eternal Axe. Instantly, a bright flash of light burst forth as the fusion happened. In the past, the Eternal Axe had helped Lin Fan a great load. But, following the increase in his strength, the wondrous effects of the Eternal Axe diminished in the face of his own powers, and were no longer comparable to the past. But now that he was going to fuse this shard into it, the eternal axe was truly going to be upgraded into an actual legendary weapon. Boom! At this moment, the eternal axe burst forth with a bedazzling gleam. A giant stood tall between the heaven and earth. Opening his mouth, he sucked the shard into his tummy instantly. This was the weapon spirit of the eternal axe that was absorbing the shard to upgrade itself into the apex state. Instantly, an aura that could reign over all the ancient times burst forth from the eternal axe. This aura was far from any other auras. Even Lin Fan himself could feel an impossible amount of power emanating out from the eternal axe. Ding! Congratulations on fusing shard. Ding! Eternal axe upgraded to a legendary weapon. Ding! Comprehended third stance. Heaven splitting earth cleaving. ... The notification of the system had Lin Fan's heart leaping with joy. He then felt a mysterious power seep into his body. At this moment, he felt as though there was a martial arts mystic technique that was being cultivated out within his body. The eternal axe brought with it stances of its own. In the past, Lin Fan had comprehended 2 of them. But now that the eternal axe was fully completed, the strongest third stance was engraved within his heart like an imprinted mark. To think that the third stance of the eternal axe would be this strong. Even an utmost powerful being may not be able to defend against this. Lin Fan was in ecstasy as he could not hide the unparalleled exhilaration on his face. This feeling was simply way too awesome. Against the utmost powerful beings, Lin Fan did not have too much confidence at the start. But right now, things were different. He was practically filled to the brim with confidence. Suddenly, Lin Fan realized that there was someone peeping at him from the void. But, the moment the other party was discovered by him, that feeling of being peeped at vanished immediately. But, Lin Fan knew that his suspicions of the peeping was real. There was no way he could just be hallucinating. Only, who in the world was it? Lin Fan could not figure it out at all. Just at this moment, he could feel reverberations of a fight breaking out through the void. This was the fallout of a fight between powerful beings. Evidently, there were powerful beings fighting elsewhere in this place. Lin Fan's interest was a little piqued right now. He did not know just what sort of a treasure could have them fighting out so wildly over it. Chapter 946. Chapter 946. Meeting the 7 Saint Old Dog once more. When Lin Fan arrived at the area where the fallout was coming from, he was stunned at the scene before him. This was so bloody intense. There was a group fight happening among various races. At times, people were even spitting out blood from being punched and smacked. There were also some geniuses who were holding down the entire scene with their unparalleled prowess. However, the current situation was still quite the stalemate where there was no clear victor in sight. After all, there were simply way too many people gathered at this place, making it hard for any side to come forth victorious at any moment. Lin Fan was curious right now. He wondered just what sort of a treasure could have all of these beings of the different races contesting over it and even have things ending up in such a brawl. But, when Lin Fan caught sight of the treasure that was floating up in the void, his face turned a little strange. This was too damned cute. A single throne floated silently up in the void. The throne gave off an eternal aura as that bedazzling godly gleam shone down on the entire world. There were countless people who were thirsting over it. But, when Lin Fan caught sight of this plaything, he merely shrugged it off. Yet another throne. For Lin Fan, a plaything as such no longer had any sh**use anymore. However, for all of these beings of the thousands of races, this was an utmost treasure amongst utmost treasures, something more important than any other legendary item. The living beings of the thousands of races knew that if they wanted to level up to Divine Celestial Level 10, Eternal God State, the fastest way to go about it was to obtain an Eternal God Seat. And, for an Eternal God Seat as such to appear within this secret ground, it was naturally a point of contest for them. After all, since there was only one Eternal God Seat, there could only be a single person who could obtain it in the end. The living beings of the thousands of races had to get their hands on it even if it was at the death of them. Chicky, Chicken Big, and Tai Rishan stood beside Lin Fan, spectating on the entire brawl with a look of bemusement on their faces. Chicken Big was extremely delighted over obtaining that golden shining treasure of his from earlier on. He was toying around with it endlessly, and even imagining about the sort of accessory he could craft out of it. Right now, his entire body from the top of his wings down to his claws was filled with golden accessories. For a moment or so, Chicken Big did not even know where to wear this new one anymore. As for Chicky and Tai Rishan, when they caught sight of the brawl going on, they were extremely excited as well. It was as though they were feeling their blood pumping over a fight like this. So entertaining. Old bro, look at that fella. He's so strong. He just took down 4 people in one go. Oh no, why was he so careless? He just got backstabbed. Woof, woof. When Tai Rishan saw a beautiful woman being walloped, his heart skipped a beat in rage and he wanted to rush up to give her a hand. But, when he saw how chaotic the entire scene was, he could only quietly admit defeat. Given the current situation, if he rushed in, the only thing awaiting him was a definite death. Lin Fan had not expected that Chicky and the others would have such a picky taste while watching this. But, there was something that was bothering Lin Fan. There was an elixir floating above the eternal god seat. The scent that was emanating out of the elixir was one that gave off a supremely invincible feeling. This was a scent ever so nostalgic. On the surface of the elixir were imprints of laws shrouding it layer after layer. A single look was enough for one to tell that this was an extraordinary elixir which was far from simple. On top of the elixir was a row of golden words. I am the heaven-moving supreme being. Because I fell due to a calamity, I'm leaving behind this eternal god seed and a peerless elixir for the future generations, so that someone can conquer the world once more in place of your supreme being. The words spoke without a single flaw in them. A single look was enough for everyone to know that this was left behind by some abled being. But to Lin Fan, everything looked so strange. And that was because this situation was truly way too eerily familiar. Back when he was in the Xuanwang world, Lin Fan had been tricked once by the 7-saint-old dog. But thankfully, because he had the existence of the system which was able to help him distinguish the lies, he was able to save himself from being deceived. However, this pattern was something that looked ever so similar to the one that Lin Fan had encountered back in the Xuanwang world. Could it be? At this moment, Lin Fan began feeling suspicious. Haha, I've got it. At this moment, a young man emerged through the crowd and grabbed the eternal god seed in his hands. But, before the young man had even gotten a firm grip on the eternal god seed, the void vibrated out as a middle-aged man killed him, flipping the eternal god seed away from him. The eternal god seed then soared through the void, and surprisingly, the direction in which it was flying was none other than where Lin Fan was standing. At this moment, within the void was a mysterious person who was observing everything that was happening. His brows furrowed as though he was somewhat displeased. The beings of the different races who had entered the secret grounds this time around are way too weak, aren't they? They can't even compare to the previous round. That fella seems pretty decent. Let him have the eternal god seed then. Pishu, Pishu. The eternal god seed and the elixir flew across the void to the side of Lin Fan. Young man, you are the future powerful being that I have chosen in my heart. With me, you will definitely turn into an invincible existence in this world. At this moment, a voice suddenly appeared in Lin Fan's ears. Hue. When Lin Fan heard this voice, he chuckled out. What a familiar sounding voice. Lin Fan then grabbed the eternal god seed in his hands. Ding, congratulations on discovering eternal god seed. There didn't seem to be anything wrong with this eternal god seed. Lin Fan then took the elixir in his hands. Ding, congratulations on discovering puppet creating elixir. Puppet creating elixir. After you devour it, you will be controlled. When Lin Fan heard the notification from the system, he was exasperated in his heart. Couldn't there be more sincerity in this world? Why was it this same pattern of things that were unfolding no matter where he went? Could anyone even get a bloody break in this place? Young man, hurry up and consume that peerless elixir. I'll take you out of this place. The alluring voice appeared in Lin Fan's ears once more. Lin Fan kept the eternal god seed in his paradise first immediately before gripping the elixir in his palms. You want me to consume it? Lin Fan asked carefully. Yes, that's right. As long as you consume it, your body type will change and you will possess the most invincible body in this entire world. Wow, to think that there's an elixir of this sort. Only, the thing is, just who in the world are you? Lin Fan asked in bewilderment. Young man, I am the Supreme 7th Saint who has fallen for a long time now. Because of that, there is only this singular trace of my consciousness left. The moment Lin Fan heard this name, he blew up. Holy FCK. Can't you FC King even just change your name? Even if you want to act, it has to be more realistic, right? What are you to do if you were to bump into any old acquaintance like this? Who are you? Suddenly, the alluring voice was rattled when he heard the words of Lin Fan. It was as though he was having a real bad feeling about this. Highs, who do you hate the most in the Xuanwang world? Lin Fan asked exasperatedly. What the, it's you. When the 7th Saint old dog who was hidden deep in the void heard this voice, he blew up as well. How in the Mother Sea King world was this possible? But, the face of this fella before him was clearly not of that accursed fella from before. What now? You're thinking of running away? Come on out then, Lin Fan said coldly before grabbing out into the void. But, he only ended up grabbing thin air. You bloody degenerate, you had better wait up. One fine day, your saint here is going to have you pay the price. The voice of the 7th Saint Old Dog sounded a little scared right now, but for the most part, it was filled more with fury. It was as though his heart was burning with an endless blazing fire. However, the reason why he did not dare to fight it out with Lin Fan should be due to the traumas of the old past that were haunting him. To think that he would have been able to run. I've got to admit that is some capability. Right now, Lin Fan's cultivation state was at the immemorial ancient middle level. For someone to be able to escape from him, that would require a certain degree of skill as well. But, what he had not expected was that the 7th Saint Old Dog would be able to make it to such a point where he was even willing to give up an eternal god seat. Seemed like there should be many things that he did not know about just yet. And just as Lin Fan was contemplating about these issues and thoughts, all of those other living beings had him surrounded up. Hand over that eternal god seat and the elixir. For all of these living beings, those utmost treasures were things that they were bent to get their hands on. When Lin Fan looked at these living beings, he could only shrug his head in exasperation. Little did these guys know that your daddy here was the one who had just saved them from everything. Lamb _ kind reminder that Lin Fan changed his facial appearance before coming into this place. Also, I love this chapter. I love how there's still some deep plot that we've yet to uncover for something that's been with us for such a long time. Or maybe everything from the past is really just a blast of nostalgia at this point. Cheers. Chapter 947 Mysterious Black Shadow. Chapter 947, Mysterious Black Shadow. The living beings of all the races had Lin Fan surrounded right now. This didn't seem quite the friendly situation for sure. What do you guys want? Why, do you want to make a move on me? Lin Fan asked. Hand over the eternal god seed and that elixir. Otherwise, you can only dream of leaving. The many living beings roared out simultaneously. If Lin Fan were to not hand over the treasures, the outcome that was awaiting him was one that would be extremely terrible. If it were any ordinary person who was faced with this many powerful beings, they might have been scared to death by this scene itself. If all of these living beings were to strike out at once, the power sent forth would definitely be earth-shaking, which one would not be able to resist at all. But, against someone like Lin Fan, weren't these guys just courting death? Everyone, what are we still wasting our breath on him for? If he doesn't hand it over, all we have to do is take him down. A woman with a remarkable disposition had a gaze that was filled with killing intent. She was clearly someone who was extremely ruthless. Woof, woof, Tai Rishan barked out as though he wanted to unleash all that berserk desolate power within him. When he smelt that fragrant scent of that chick, it turned him on so badly that he could barely hold it in. But, just when the masses were prepared to strike out, a formidable aura burst forth from Lin Fan's body. This aura was so strong that it seemed as though the entire world was under his control. When all of the living beings who were prepared to strike out felt this aura, all of them let out faces of shock. This aura, so strong, they felt as though they were little ships in the middle of a raging tsunami. If the heavens were to get enraged, any single wave could topple them over and sink them without any chance of life at all. Do you guys still want to snatch it over? Lin Fan asked indifferently. Step, step, all the living beings around stumbled back with a look of horror as they looked at this living being. In their eyes, the aura that was exuded out by this living being was way too strong, so strong that they could feel trepidations in their hearts. At this moment, Lin Fan focused his gaze and looked at the woman who had wanted to kill him earlier on. The woman felt her heart skip a beat. It was as though the universal elixir in her body was about to explode. Senior, please spare my life. The woman prostrated on the ground, begging immediately. Just that single gaze was enough to send her heart palpitating out. If the other party truly wanted to kill her, he might perhaps require only a single thought. Horrifying, way too horrifying. Scram, Lin Fan bellowed out. His voice was like a tidal wave that blanketed the entire world, drowning all the living beings within it. All the living beings could feel their mental states rattled and did not dare to linger here any longer. Just that voice alone was enough for their mental states to be affected so badly. They did not dare to imagine how violent it would be if he struck out personally. Thank you for sparing our lives, Senior. Thank you for sparing our lives, Senior. Pishu, Pishu. In the next instant, none of those living beings dared to stay for any bit longer, so they naturally left the place straight away. Now, everything's quieter. Lin Fan sighed out. All of these living beings scrambled away faster than anyone else. It was as though they were wishing that they could grow another leg to run even faster. However, these living beings could still be considered to have earned out of this place. Other than missing out on the eternal God seat, they had obtained quite a fair bit of rewards. In Lin Fan's opinion, the one who lost out the greatest this time around was that 7-saint old dog. This trap that he laid down hadn't even begun to activate before it was seen through by Lin Fan. That was truly pretty miserable for him. At this moment, the void was just a patch of emptiness. The 7-saint old dog roared out. By now, he had already materialized into a real body. A single look at him and one could tell that he had a disposition of a superior being, as though he was some immensely skilled being who had gone into hiding. However, that malevolent face of his was ever so menacing. A single look at it was terrifying enough. Damn it, to think that I would bump into that darn fella. 7-saint old dog was fuming right now. After he had come here from the Xuanwang world, he had been hiding himself for the longest time, and did not dare to reveal himself within the world. Back when the ancient saint world was still being ruled over by the ancient race, old Master 7-saint had managed to gain control over an ancient race being. With that, he just hid ignobly while cultivating his own strength from the depths. But, who would have thought that the world would change this quickly? Out of nowhere, the ancient race was on the losing end, and the infinite worlds had fused together with the descent of countless of supremely powerful beings. This was something that had the old Master 7-saint completely stumped. No matter what, I have to continue living on. Once I live till the very end, I'll teach that damned fella a lesson to let him know of my strength. From a long time ago, old Master 7-saint had already started plotting for this plan of his. Ever since he fell in the previous era, he had been awaiting the chance for his revival. Back in the Xuanwang world, he had initially thought that he could depend on his own strength to groom out a peerless genius. But, who would have thought that he would actually bump into a twisted sicko like that guy? Not only did he expose his plan, that guy had even fused him together with the body of a dog. Finally, after enduring an endless amount of trials and tribulations, he had finally arrived at the ancient saint world. And, just as things were about to get better for him, what was up with the situation right now? This was something that had the old Master 7-saint infuriated beyond anything else. This fella had spoiled his plans once more. Half of his consciousness had already been messed up by Lin Fan, causing his personal condition to be pretty unstable. It was only after he had taken in the essence, spirit, and vitality of the living beings of the thousands of races that he had started healing back up. And, just as the old Master 7-saint was still hating on Lin Fan, the void started vibrating out as a pitch-black shadow appeared before him. Master, the old Master 7-saint prostrated on the ground respectfully. In fact, there was even a sense of fear that was bubbling in his heart. How are things coming along? The black shadow was grim and sharp. It was as though this was a fiend from the 9 spirit hells. I've already gained control of 1,600 living beings. The old Master 7-saint replied while shivering. HMPH, that is not enough yet. You had better go get me control of more of them. The black shadow commanded. Yes. The old Master 7-saint replied immediately. By the time he raised his head, the black shadow had disappeared already. The reason why the old Master 7-saint was able to obtain quite a number of eternal god seats was this black shadow, who had given them all to him. While he did not know who the black shadow was, he knew that he definitely could not offend the other party. Even though he hadn't seen the other party strike out yet, just the aura alone was enough for him to know that this being before him was the most horrifying of them all. Even those utmost powerful beings were no match for him. At this moment, the old Master 7-saint stood up as his eyes burned with a searing blaze. Damned Lin Fan, you just wait and see. One fine day, I'll definitely have you pay the price. The old Master 7-saint's hatred was deeply embedded. But, when he remembered the grand plans of his master, he did not dare to waste any more time as he prepared to continue heading out to scam more beings. At this moment, Lin Fan was prepared to leave the empty ashes secret ground. But all of a sudden, an explosion boomed out as the barrier of the empty ashes secret ground started exploding. With that, an imposing figure then appeared before Lin Fan. That figure was wrapped around with the power of thunder, and those eyes had thunderbolts cruising through them. Old Master Thunder. Lin Fan hadn't expected that the old Master Thunder would hunt him down here. He had been hiding all his traces the entire time. How in the world did this old fogey manage to track him down here? But, when he thought more about it, everything made sense. Seemed like when he met with Chicken Big and Tai Rishan earlier on, he must have been discovered. Old Master Thunder, are you bent on fighting with me with your life like this? Lin Fan raised his head and looked over. Mother ** Sea King Human King. The voice of the old Master Thunder was hoarse, yet it was filled with a boundless hatred. Lin Fan supposedly carried with him many legendary items, and was a target that all the utmost powerful beings would wish to kill. But actually, Lin Fan had already smelted all of those legendary items by now. There wasn't even a single scrap left of them. Chapter 948 Take this move of mine. Chapter 948, Take this move of mine. Mother ** Sea King Human King, you've truly got some capabilities. I'll give you that. As long as you hand over half of those legendary items, from this day forth, I, the old Master Thunder, will never cause you any trouble anymore. This Mother * Sea King Human King was simply way too crafty to be able to escape from the grasp of their masses for so many times. Even now that he had come here personally, the old Master Thunder did not have much confidence in being able to retain this Mother * Sea King Human King. However, there was something that the old Master Thunder could not understand. He could not get why the Mother * Sea King Human King would possess such capabilities. It was evident that his cultivation state was nowhere near theirs. Yet, he was able to escape from them time and again. This was something that was way too bewildering. Old Master Thunder, I'm afraid your thinking is going to net you no rewards. All of those legendary items have already been refined away by me and are fused into my paradise. Lin Fan replied. Impossible. Even if it's us, we will not be able to refine that many legendary items in such a short period of time. The old Master Thunder exclaimed. Whether you believe it or not is up to you. In any case, that's the truth. Lin Fan said. The old Master Thunder could not hold back the anger in his heart. This Mother * Sea King Human King was just being absolutely uncooperative. Alright then, hand over half of your paradise to me. The old Master Thunder requested. The moment Lin Fan heard these words, he blew up. Did this guy have a mental issue or something? To think that he would even dare to spout out such words. Did you forget to take your medicine or what? Did you even think before saying what you just did? Lin Fan was defeated, he truly was. These were the words that only a brain-dead retard would ever say. Mother * Sea King Human King, you mean to say that you're not willing to give it to me then? The face of the old Master Thunder changed as his robes started flitting through the breeze and letting out crackling sounds as though he was ready to strike out at any moment. Lin Fan raised his head and looked up into the void. Old Master Thunder, don't come and put on an act now. From the moment you've arrived, you've been setting up your absolute formation intending to seal me within here. Now that you've got so much crap to spout to me, I suppose that you must be done with your formation, right? As the old Master Thunder was wasting time talking nonsense with Lin Fan had already felt the entire void being surrounded by a power of thunder. This power of thunder sealed out in all directions and cut off all time and space. How could the old Master Thunder possibly be discussing such things with Lin Fan? Naturally, given his methods, his intentions were to pocket everything for himself. To think that you would have realized it. The old Master Thunder laughed out twice coldly, but, since you had found out about it, why didn't you try to run? Evidently, the old Master Thunder hadn't expected for the Mother * Sea King Human King to realize that he was setting up a formation. This was something he hadn't counted on happening. There's no need for that. Lin Fan shrugged his shoulders. In the past, I'd give it to you that you were pretty strong, and I couldn't match up to you. But times have changed. I'm no longer the same me you thought you knew. You're alone today, aren't you? Lin Fan then asked. Why now, do you think that your ancestor here alone will not be able to take you down? The old Master Thunder laughed out icily. Had this Mother * Sea King Human King gone crazy? Lin Fan smiled out. Indeed, back in the past when his strength hadn't reached this point where he was now, if he had met the old Master Thunder, the only thing he could do was run. But right now, everything had changed. If it were a solo fight, Lin Fan had 101 methods to FCK this guy to death. Hooey. All of a sudden, Lin Fan appeared before the face of the old Master Thunder, that's needless to say. If you think that you're able to take down yours truly alone, you've got to be dreaming. Courting death, the old Master Thunder roared and pushed out both his palms. The power of thunder coiled out like a series of gigantic dragons that slammed out at Lin Fan. Hooey. Lin Fan laughed out frostily as he punched out with his fist. As for the attacks of the old Master Thunder, he did not put it to heart at all. Bam! Arg! All of a sudden, a tragic wail rang out. The only thing that could be seen was the bloodied face of the old Master Thunder which had blood exploding out. The look of it was absolutely wretched. How could this be? The old Master Thunder screamed out, unable to believe everything before his eyes. That move of his had clearly landed on the body of the Mother Sea King Human King. Yet, it dealt him no damage at all. But, on the other hand, that single fist of the Mother Sea King Human King had caused the powers within the body of the Old Master Thunder to rumble out intensely, and blood to spurt from his face. Did that feel good? That single punch had Lin Fan feeling extremely good. This was especially the case after he witnessed how miserable the Old Master Thunder looked. The Old Master Thunder was in disbelief right now. To think that the power level of this Mother Sea King Human King would have risen this quickly. It was absolutely out of his calculations. N-O-V-E in .c ohm. Old Master Thunder, yours truly is no longer the man I used to be. Since you want to fight it out with me today, I'll accept it graciously. Lin Fan hollered out as countless banners seeped into the heaven and earth. Today, the only one who will leave will be the one who is alive at the end of the day. Lin Fan had sealed the heaven and earth, cutting off any possible escape path. Given the current situation, there was only two possible outcomes. It was either Lin Fan who would die or the Old Master Thunder. Other than these two outcomes, there wasn't any other choice left. Damn it. At this moment, the Old Master Thunder was enraged. Mother Sea King Human King. You're just asking to die right now. Origin of Thunder. Boom. All of a sudden, the void trembled out furiously as the Old Master Thunder bellowed out. An aura that represented the state where thunder ruled over everything, even before the entire world had been created, was released. Within the void, thunderbolts lined the entire place. These thunderbolts were extraordinary, and were where the source of the Old Master Thunder lied. Immemorial ancient god thunder with the power of nature. All of a sudden, the Old Master Thunder spread out his fingers. As he gripped the air with a claw-like stance, a horrifying power was brewing between those fingers of his. It then turned into a gigantic thunder dragon. This gigantic thunder dragon had a seemingly endless body as it swiveled up and coiled above. As it opened that thunderous mouth of it burst forth with a relentless power. Good one. But, Lin Fan showed no signs of fear at all. Right now, his cultivation state was already at the immemorial ancient state middle level. Furthermore, he had comprehended the mystic skills of the great sage and the demonic god Pangu as well. As he gripped his fist tightly, his aura was composed as though everything was extremely calm around him. But, that single punch alone possessed a destructive aura within it. PSHEW. Lin Fan stepped out as his body flashed when he deployed so near, yet so far immediately. Old Master Thunder, since you have come here to look for yours truly today, you shall stay here and die then. HMPH. Insolent. The Old Master Thunder had not expected the strength of the Mother Sea King Human King to have been raised to such an extent. He made sure not to be careless as he spat out a mouthful of essence blood, with which, that berserk gigantic thunder dragon went even wilder. Boom. The two colossal powers collided with one another. But at this moment, Lin Fan gripped the gigantic thunder dragon, and following a single stamp on the ground with his feet, he punched out with a tremendous amount of force with the other arm. The Old Master Thunder was stunned as his body flashed out. With that, a legendary item bolted out furiously and struck down at Lin Fan to try and suppress him. Damn it, just what sort of miraculous encounters has that fella encountered? To think that the power emanating forth from him would actually be at the level of immemorial ancient full cultivation state. This is just inconceivable. Clang. With a single punch, Lin Fan clashed with the legendary item of the Old Master Thunder, creating a massive vortex because of it. To think that you would still have a legendary item as such, Old Master Thunder. Seems like your resources are pretty deep-reaching, EH. Lin Fan could feel the power that he sent forth being reflected back slightly somehow. His face changed as he took out the Eternal Axe. Old Master Thunder, take this move of mine. Chapter 949 You have already lost. Chapter 949, You have already lost. Legendary weapon. The Old Master Thunder could sense the aura that was emanating out of the Eternal Axe, as a result of which his face changed slightly with some disbelief on it. This was the aura of a true legendary weapon. At this moment, Lin Fan's entire aura changed and turned extremely sharp. His body's aura converged onto the Eternal Axe while the source of power within his aura gushed out even more furiously and a boundless power shrouded its surface. Destruction. Firmament. Lin Fan roared out as his Eternal Axe sliced through the heaven and earth. The two bedazzling axe flashes that streaked out let out a radiant glare. When these two sharp auras swerving right up into the air, they seemed like gigantic dragons that tore through the layer of void above before bolting right out for Old Master Thunder. Old Master Thunder hadn't expected the strength of the Mother Sea King Human King to actually reach a state as such. After all, these two axes were filled with an endless amount of power. I, Old Master Thunder, am invincible in the world. Old Master Thunder bellowed out as he closed all 5 fingers of his into a fist. The legendary item let out a reversing glow as a 100,000 feet tall thunder god rose up from the ground. It seemed as though the entire world had just descended into a state of complete chaos. All of those living beings of the thousands of races who were in the middle of escaping right now could feel their faces turning pale as a sheet when they felt the reverberations of this power that could rattle one's soul. They were so fearful that they had shivers running down their spines. While they did not know just what in the world was going on, just the reverberations of the power alone were enough for them to feel as though they couldn't ever hope to defend against it. If they were any closer to the impact point, they might even be minced to death by the sheer force of the power. Just what had happened in that horrifying place? Could there have been another powerful being that had appeared? However, these were not things for them to find out or understand. After all, they could not even get close to it. In their eyes, everything was just too terrifying. Shing, those 2 axes were the first 2 stances of the eternal axe. Even though they were not enough to deal with an utmost powerful being just yet, with the boost of the source of power, the amount of power that burst forth was not to be taken lightly. When the 2 axe flashes collided with the legendary item of the Old Master Thunder, the surface of the letter revealed layers and layers of power of thunder that wrapped around it. Under the might of this tremendous force, there were even ripples that vibrated out furiously before dispersing out the power that came forth from Lin Fan. Mother *C King Human King, you have truly been way too arrogant. This item here of your ancestor is a legendary item. Do you really think that you can take down this legendary item of your ancestor? You've got to be dreaming. The Old Master Thunder roared out as infinite thunderbolts streaked out like berserk dragons and danced in the sky. They were filled with the ability to destroy the entire world. Oh, is that so? Lin Fan chuckled out calmly, then moved his finger and flicked his wrist. Since that's the case, how about taking this next move of mine then? What's that sound? All of a sudden, Lin Fan's aura turned even finer and sharper. In fact, there was even a power of an immemorial ancient eternity that was carried with it. It was a power that felt like the heavens were splitting and the earth was being cleaved, a power capable of affecting all the living beings in this world. What's that? The face of the Old Master Thunder was shocked as his expression changed. From within that aura, he had sensed a boundless amount of power. In fact, there was even a will of dueling with the heavens. This will was everlasting and indestructible, something that wouldn't be quenched throughout the ancient times. That's the unrivaled heaven dueling mystic technique of the great sage. To think that you would have comprehended that will of conquering all the ancient times. The Old Master Thunder felt his heart rattling at this moment. Old Master Thunder, this is a move that you've got to be more careful about now, alright? Otherwise, you're going to have to bear the consequences yourself. Lin Fan smiled out indifferently. The Lin Fan right now could sense all the power that was cruising through his entire body. Heaven splitting, earth cleaving. Boom. Lin Fan's voice was like a thunderbolt right now as he bellowed out, causing an axe flash to streak out and tear the entire heaven and earth. The source of power gushed out as a tremendous amount of power gathered onto this, heaven-splitting earth-cleaving, move. This was a move that had transcended all mystic skills of martial arts. This was a Dao move that could even be said to possess the strongest power of the entire world. Right now, Lin Fan wanted to cleave this bleak world apart and create a brand new world, one where he would rule over as the Lord. How could a single being of the human race burst forth with such a great amount of power? Impossible. Definitely impossible, the Old Master Thunder screamed out. Boom. The axe flash penetrated through everything. In the face of it, time and space were but like a mere piece of paper that tore apart with a single slice, without any room of resistance at all. Clang. In the next instant, the axe flash struck out on the legendary item of the Old Master Thunder. Through the empowerment of the Old Master Thunder, this legendary item had a power far superior to its original level. Its surface was especially resolute. Even if it were the entire power of a single world, it wouldn't be enough to crack it. But at this moment, a cracking sound rang out in the void. On the surface of that legendary item were actually an endless number of cracks appearing rapidly. It seemed as though it could shatter apart at any moment. How could this be? The blood drained from the face of the Old Master Thunder. This was his legendary item. To think that it would be destroyed by a single cleave by this human's axe. The Old Master Thunder opened his mouth wide and sprayed out the essence blood of his very life. When the essence blood floated out into the void, thunderbolts crackled out instantly and turned into runic symbols one after another. When these runic symbols landed on that legendary item, it jerked intensely before landing back into the hands of the Old Master Thunder. Those essence blood runes replaced the legendary item and were destroyed by that axe flash instead. Looking at the loss of his source and the weapon spirit that was crying out tragically in his hands, the old Master Thunder's heart was filled with an endless rage. Mother *** Sea King Human King. I'm going to have you crushed entirely. Right now, the old Master Thunder was completely maddened as his eyes were burning with anger. Old Master Thunder, you've already lost. The current me is at an apex state. Whereas you are already old right now. Your aura is starting to get chaotic. At this moment, Lin Fan could feel a mysterious power bursting forth from within his body. This was the power of his blood. Lin Fan would never ever forget what had happened in the Xuanwang world. The moment the god blood was infused into his body, it had swapped out his own blood. However, this blood had remained hidden within his body for all this while. He did not know what sort of effects it would have at all. But, through this battle with the old Master Thunder, Lin Fan was starting to realize that the god blood within his body was rumbling out furiously. Old Master Thunder. Right now, Lin Fan's voice was calm. His body moved, and he appeared in the former's face in a flash. You have sealed the heaven and earth. Now even if you want to leave, you can't do so. Lin Fan slammed out with a punch that was so wild that it caused the void before him to rupture. The force that was pushing forth from him was absolutely horrifying. Even before this punch had even arrived in his face, the old Master Thunder could already feel the arrival of this impending terror that was about to descend on him. Damn it! The old Master Thunder was enraged. Spreading open his palm, he slapped out at Lin Fan. Bam! The palm of old Master Thunder landed squarely on Lin Fan's chest. However, the latter smiled indifferently without showing any signs of changes. This was the benefit of having an invincible physical body state. Bam! The old Master Thunder roared out in a tragic cry as fresh blood sprayed out everywhere. With a single arm, Lin Fan choked the old Master Thunder and rained down fist after fist on his face. The sorrowful wails were relentless. ***, let me go. The old Master Thunder was incensed right now. However, every single strike he landed on Lin Fan felt like nothing more than an itch to the latter. Chapter 950 You can't do that. Chapter 950, you can't do that. Let you go. No, that's not nice, is it? Look at us now, me throwing you a punch and you returning with a palm strike. Awesome, let us continue hurting one another. Lin Fan chuckled out. Right now, the old Master Thunder was already thoroughly captured by Lin Fan. His throat was being choked as his face was pressed against Lin Fan's chest. Let loose. The old Master Thunder wanted to struggle out of this. However, he discovered that the strength of this Mother ** Sea King Human King was simply way too strong, that he couldn't break free at all. At this moment, the old Master Thunder raised his bum and struggled to try and retreat. He hadn't expected that this Mother ** Sea King Human King would play so dirtily. At the same time, the thing that infuriated him the most was that this Mother ** Sea King Human King was just depending on that undefeatable physical body state of his. To think that he would be this despicable. Old Master Thunder, let's just watch and see what other capabilities you've got to break out of this. Lin Fan sniggered out sinisterly. You dogs ***. The old Master Thunder took out every last bit of strength he had as though he was sucking milk out of titties as he struggled and pulled back relentlessly. But, even if he coiled his entire body with the power of thunder, it was all useless. How in the world did this Mother ** Sea King Human King train his physical body state to this point? Even if it were the other utmost powerful beings, they definitely wouldn't be able to withstand this power of thunder at point blank. But for this Mother ** Sea King Human King, it did nothing at all. The old Master Thunder could not help but feel saddened over this fact. Old Master Thunder, look at this. Tell me what it is. Lin Fan gripped his fist and waved it in front of the old Master Thunder. Fist. The old Master Thunder could not help but reply. You're wrong. This is a fist that's as big as a punching bag. After Lin Fan said that, he punched down once on the face of the old Master Thunder. The force of that single punch was horrifying beyond anything else. The old Master Thunder could feel as though his entire face was being distorted and wrecked by it right now. Blood-bursting fist of the North Star. This was a special fist glove that Lin Fan had created and was invisible when he wore it on his fist. A single punch would cause blood to burst out while 3 punches would cause an explosion for sure. Fresh blood was spraying everywhere right now. The old Master Thunder had never ever thought that his face would be so fragile that it would spray out blood with just a single punch. The fresh blood of utmost powerful beings was something far from normal. Every single drop of blood possessed an endless amount of power. If it were any normal person who had obtained this, licking a single drop of this blood could have them imploding from within due to the overload of power. And, even if it were any other martial artist, a single drop of blood could have them cultivating for a long period of time. Does it hurt? Right now, Lin Fan was totally on a comeback in the advantaged position. Now that the old Master Thunder had fallen into his hands, he definitely wanted to beat him up badly. This old Master Thunder had been hunting him down for such a long time now. Each time he appeared, the shadow of the old Master Thunder would definitely be chasing him from close behind. Now that the other party had fallen into his hands, if he did not let this guy know the feeling of being whacked up, he would definitely take yours truly as a pushover. Mother ****** Sea King Human King, let me go. Your ancestor wants to fight you for a good 300 rounds. The old Master Thunder yelled out. 300 your mother. If I let you go, you will definitely make a break for it, you piece of dog's tea. Lin Fan laughed out before punching on the face of the old Master Thunder once more. Bam! Arg! It was as though the blood of the old Master Thunder was a part of some buffet as it sprayed out everywhere. For an utmost powerful being, receiving a humiliation as such was something he couldn't possibly endure. Do you know what's the name of this fist technique? Lin Fan asked. Let go of your ancestor. The old Master Thunder did not want to know the name or anything else. The only thing he wanted right now was to be released and to take down this mother ***** Sea King Human King harshly. I'll tell you, this is the blood-bursting fist of the North Star. Do you know what's the effect of being punched by this 3 times in a row? Lin Fan scoffed out. You bloody let go of me right now. The old Master Thunder howled out. Lin Fan did not reply as he sent yet another punch down. Bam! An exploding sound boomed out. This was the 3rd punch that was hit. The face of the old Master Thunder split right open with flesh and blood flying everywhere. This was a terrible sight to endure. If any other utmost powerful beings were present here, they would definitely have their ****T scared right out of them. This was a bloody utmost powerful being, not some punching bag. The anger in the heart of the old Master Thunder was burning as the power of thunder wrapped all around his body. Crack, crack, sizzle, sizzle. Under the power of thunder, the entire void started crackling and exploding. But for Lin Fan, it wasn't as though it could possibly deal any damage to his physical body at all. Old Master Thunder, do you know what's the sister punch of the blood-bursting fist of the North Star? Lin Fan asked coldly. The old Master Thunder did not reply. Right now, he was already incensed after being punched by Lin Fan repeatedly. That raised bum of his was swaying left and right up in the air as he tried his hardest to get out of this predicament. I'll tell you, the sister punch of the blood-bursting fist of the North Star is the boobs-bursting fist of the North Star. The first punch. Bam! Lin Fan punched out to the left side of the old Master Thunder's chest. Momentarily, a sharp pain spiked through him. Unable to endure the pain, the old Master Thunder cried out in anguish. This. All of a sudden, the old Master Thunder discovered that his chest had grown larger. This. Mother *****King Human King. Just what in the world have you done to your ancestor? The old Master Thunder screamed out at the top of his lungs. He felt that this Mother ****King Human King was simply way too despicable and shameless. Hooey, this is where the magic of this fist technique lies. The next punch shall be your other chest, alright. Lin Fan laughed out coldly. Stop that, Mother ****King Human King. You had better stop that for your ancestor. As a king with a cultivation of immemorial ancient state, how can you stoop so low to use such despicable moves? The old Master Thunder bellowed out. As an utmost powerful being, how could he possibly go out into the world with such a body? Old Master Thunder, a single look and one could tell that you evidently have no understanding of the sort of person yours truly is. Ever since yours truly started off in the Xuanwang world, the first move I had learned was monkey steals peaches. Do you want to know how the monkey steals peaches goes about? Lin Fan chuckled out frostily. Let go of your ancestor. Fight with your ancestor for a good 300 rounds if you've got the guts. The old Master Thunder was burning in wrath right now as he howled out uncontrollably. The second chest. Bam! When the punch had landed and the old Master Thunder realized the state of his chest afterward, he started wailing out once more. He then churned his powers and tried his best to suppress this strange situation that was happening in his body. But to his surprise, nothing would work at all. Just what in the world was going on right now? How now? What are your thoughts on this currently? Lin Fan chuckled out and asked. The old Master Thunder glared at Lin Fan with a death stare. Your ancestor cannot wait to rip you up into shreds. Lin Fan shrugged his shoulders. Don't sweat it. Given your strength, you wouldn't be able to even break through the body of yours truly, let alone talk about ripping into shreds. The old Master Thunder looked at Lin Fan with an endless amount of hatred. However, he could not help but admit that the words of the Mother *C King Human King were right on the spot. He couldn't even break through the other party's defenses. Alright, since I've played with you for such a long time now, yours truly shall send you on your way then. Lin Fan said. The moment the old Master Thunder heard these words, his face changed. You want to kill me? That's right. Impossible. You will never be able to kill your ancestor for all eternity. Your ancestor is the ancestor of the Thunder race. Thunder is absolutely indestructible, just someone like you and you think that you can do it. The old Master Thunder mocked out. Past life, slay. Instantly, the face of the old Master Thunder lost all its color. You? Don't get anxious now. This is just the triple lifetime reincarnation sutra of the ancestral Buddha, that's all. I'll just slay all 3 of your lifetimes so that you can't even reincarnate. Lin Fan replied in a composed manner. No, wait, you can't do that. At this moment, the old Master Thunder panicked. He hadn't expected that the Mother *C King Human King would actually know of this mystic skill. Chapter 951 Let the tumultuous era arrive. Chapter 951. Let the tumultuous era arrive. The old Master Thunder was stunned. He hadn't expected this Mother *C King Human King to be this despicable, and to even know of such underhanded techniques. Even though as utmost powerful beings, they would resort to some trickeries and plots at times, they would normally disregard lowly techniques as such. But right now, this Mother *C King Human King was causing the old Master Thunder to break down entirely. Did this guy bloody still have any humanity left in him? Mother *C King Human King, let me go and we'll talk things through nicely, okay? I, the old Master Thunder, am no evildoer. Perhaps, we can even be friends. The old Master Thunder said. Be friends? Lin Fan chuckled out in laughter. That's right, I, the old Master Thunder, love making friends the most. Everything you've done to me, I can let bygones be bygones. Even though this was what the old Master Thunder said on the surface, his heart was in reality burning with a strong fuming rage. Let bygones be bygones. What sort of an international joke was that? For everything that the Mother *C King Human King had done to him, the old Master Thunder could not wait to crush down him harshly. Actually, I, Lin Fan, bloody love making friends as well. Lin Fan chuckled out. Oh, then, we share the same sentiments. We can be sworn brothers right now. You can be the big brother. In order to keep his life intact, the old Master Thunder did not care about anything much right now. Slay, future, bam, the future life of the old Master Thunder had just been slain away. Big brother. What are you doing? We are sworn brothers, aren't we? You can't do this to me. The old Master Thunder was enraged right now. However, for the sake of his life, he could only beg out pitifully. Your big brother here is helping you loosen your limbs so that you can feel the love that big brother has for you. Lin Fan laughed out coldly. Purify. Lin Fan chanted out with some scriptures and the power of purification gushed out slowly before wrapping up the old Master Thunder in it. This was truly the first time he was trying to purify an utmost powerful being. He wondered what sort of feelings the old Master Thunder would have about this. The thought had him feeling a little excited in fact. Arg, damn it, Mother *C King Human King, don't you dare get too brazen now. I am the old Master Thunder, and an utmost powerful being. You will never be able to purify me. The old Master Thunder screamed out while his eyes shone with a frightened look. He hadn't expected that the Mother *C King Human King would be this cruel to dare to treat him as such. Seems like it's still useless. Lin Fan exclaimed out and seemed pretty disappointed. The old Master Thunder heaved out a huge breath of relief. That was one hell of a scare. If he were really purified, that would truly be the end for him. Haha, you will never be able to purify an utmost powerful being. Utmost powerful beings are the most powerful existences in the. Before the words of the old Master Thunder were even completed, he found a fist the size of a punching bag flying out towards his stomach once more. That tremendous force penetrated through his entire body as the bum of the old Master Thunder jerked up along with a tragic shriek rising from his throat. What are you trying to do? The old Master Thunder yelled out as he could feel that power surging through his entire body like a torrent. It was as though he could puke out at any time. It's nothing, I'm just beating you up to loosen your body. Lin Fan truly refused to believe that he couldn't purify this fella. Initially, Lin Fan had wanted to kill the old Master Thunder. But, on second thought, preserving his life might result in even greater value created in the future. After all, the strength of the old Master Thunder was still something that could be considered as pretty strong. He was quite a bit stronger than that old Master Bat. The old Master Thunder raised his head menacingly. But, when he saw that devious and sinister smirk on the face of the Mother *C King Human King, that eternally resolute thunderous heart of his that had remained firm throughout the ancient times started to quiver. He felt as though there was a terrible calamity awaiting him right now. And at that moment, yet another punch came down from Lin Fan. The old Master Thunder had his throat choked tightly by Lin Fan's arm, and could not break free at all. No matter how much power he tried to burst forth with, it was all useless. "Stop that, you had better stop that now," the old Master Thunder shrieked out. "Purify." Lin Fan deployed the purification technique. "I told you to stop it. You're never going to be able to purify your ancestor." The old Master Thunder had never imagined that this would be his outcome one day. This was way too pathetic, so much so that he could barely deal with it any longer. Bam, bam, ... Lin Fan punched down towards the stomach of the old Master Thunder a few dozens of times continuously. Every single punch was crueler than the previous one. No matter how strong the strength of the old Master Thunder was, he could do nothing but endure the torments under these relentless strikes. His body shivered uncontrollably and sprayed out a mouthful of blood that stained the ground. Stop that. Arg. All of a sudden, the old Master Thunder started to feel as though he was losing strength. He was so listless that he could almost crumble right now. Just what in the *CKING world do you want with me? If you want to kill me, kill me. Do you have to torture your ancestor as such? Even if your ancestor has to self-destruct, I'm going to bring you down to hell with me." The old Master Thunder howled out. All of a sudden, it was as though the old Master Thunder had just thought up of something. Self-destruct. The moment Lin Fan heard this voice of the old Master Thunder, his face changed as though he had just remembered something horrifying. Holy FCK, this old Master Thunder is thinking of self-destructing. At this moment, the old Master Thunder burst out laughing wildly. "Mother *CKING Human King. Your ancestor will have it out with you today." All of a sudden, the powers of the old Master Thunder surged out of him rapidly. An aura that was filled with a devastating power started channeling within his body as though it could burst out at any moment. The self-destruction of an utmost powerful being was not something to be underestimated. Even an utmost powerful being of the same level might not be able to hold out against it at all. "Haha, Mother *CKING Human King. You can just die together with your ancestor." The old Master Thunder was laughing like a maniac right now. But all of a sudden, an inhumane pain spiked through his entire body. The malevolent face of the old Master Thunder changed immensely as though he was feeling something real strange. "FC King Hell, are you trying to scare yours truly to death? Even if you want to self-destruct, yours truly is going to have you hold it back in." Lin Fan patted the head of the old Master Thunder like a dog furiously. When he realized that the old Master Thunder was about to self-destruct, Lin Fan was truly horrified for a moment there. Thereafter, he remembered that there was still his twisting heaven and earth. With that single move of his hands, the world would belong to him. Even if one wanted to self-destruct, they would have to hold it back in entirely. The old Master Thunder screamed out miserably. This was a pain that even he could not endure at all. Hee, based on the situation right now, he is definitely ready to be purified completely. Lin Fan smiled. Purify. At this moment, Lin Fan's body emanated out an extremely ancient power of purification. Any vile or evil being would all have to repent and conform to the user of this power of purification. Arg! The pathetic howl of the old Master Thunder erupted out as the power of purification wrapped his entire inner heart. Purify! Lin Fan hollered out as a series of Buddhas appeared and floated out of the void before encircling the old Master Thunder. These Buddhas chanted out scriptures as the power of purification burst forth tremendously in series. The menacing expression of the old Master Thunder gradually started changing under its influence, turning compassionate, benevolent, merciful, dignified, and pure. Ding! Congratulations on purifying old Master Thunder. Ha ha ha! When Lin Fan heard the notification of the system, he burst out laughing. For him, the old Master Thunder was someone who provided an immense amount of usages. Whether or not Lin Fan could become an utmost powerful being in one fell swoop depended entirely on this old Master Thunder. At this moment, Lin Fan reared his head and looked up into the sky with a face full of emotions. It was now time for a tumultuous era to arrive, time to let yours truly transcend through everything. Chapter 952 Self-Destructing. Chapter 952. Self-destructing. Master. At this moment, the old Master Thunder had been completely purified by Lin Fan and turned into his dog through and through. If Lin Fan wanted him to die alive, he would die alive. There was simply no chance of him resisting at all. Yes, who would have thought that the utmost powerful being, old Master Thunder, would have been purified by someone just like that? If any of the other utmost powerful beings were to find out about this, their hearts might even jump out of their chest from the blow. If I were to kill this old Master Thunder, I might be able to reach an immemorial ancient state upper level. But, this old Master Thunder did remind me that he's of great value. Lin Fan's heart leapt with joy as all sorts of ploys started popping in his mind. Eventually, he decided on the best plan of them all. This was a plan that would allow him to turn into a god with a single thought. Whether or not he could turn into a god would all depend on the old Master Thunder right now. Lay out a heaven and earth barrier with me, Lin Fan ordered. Yes, the old Master Thunder did not have to hesitate as he sent out a mysterious power of thunder that rose into the air and laid out across the endless void before turning into seals one after another. Lin Fan pointed out with his finger as the source sealing technique burst forth. This was the fundamental of sealing the heaven and earth. Power of Bigra. That odorless and colorless mist seeped into the endless void as well. At this moment, it was as though an entire spiderweb was laid out, blanketing the whole sky. Every single thread of it glistened with light and was filled with an unlimited amount of sealing powers. After God knows how long, it was only once the heaven and earth seal of this entire place had reached its pinnacle state that Lin Fan stopped his actions. With this seal here right now, it'd be easy for anyone to get in. But getting out, that's another issue altogether. Lin Fan was extremely pleased with everything right now. Old Master Thunder, call over all the utmost powerful beings that you had once summoned and grouped up with. This time around, Lin Fan was prepared to go big on this. Yes, the old Master Thunder nodded his head before countless streams of his consciousness extended out into the void. Your ancestor has already captured the Mother Sea King Human King. Fellow utmost powerful beings, please come forth and give me a hand. Instantly, all of these streams of consciousness spread in all directions. It didn't take long before the void started trembling. Old Master Thunder, to think that you would inform your ancestor here about it. You're really a dependable person. A gigantic crocodile descended down into the world as those gigantic claws ripped the void open before extending slowly. That is for sure, even though the events of the previous time were a misunderstanding, your ancestor here naturally has to make some amends to you. The old Master Thunder said. Haha, not bad. From this day forth, we'll write everything off. The old Master Crocodile burst out laughing as he looked at this Mother Sea King Human King before him with lustful eyes. This is indeed that Mother Sea King Human King. After taking all of those legendary items for yourself, it's time you spit them out today. To think that the old Master Crocodile would have been a step earlier than me. Lucifer arrived as a godly radiance shone down on the entire world. When he felt the sealing of the void nearby, he was slightly bothered with it at the start. This seal, this human is crafty beyond anything else and has escaped from the hands of your ancestor one too many times. This time around, your ancestor laid down an entire heaven and earth formation seal. Let's see how he runs from this now, the old Master Thunder said with confidence. Following closely after, 1,000 feet long water dragon spiraled over. This was the old Master Water Dragon who had arrived. Old Master Thunder, to think that you would have captured this Mother Sea King Human King. At this moment, the old Master Devouring Heavens arrived as well. I, the Drought Demonic God, have arrived. A demonic god of the ancient race descended. And beside him stood yet another demonic god as well. This was the Extreme Heavens demonic god of the ancient race. Most probably, the Drought Demonic God was worried that his strength might not be enough alone, and hence, decided to bring along someone of his own race. Old Master Devouring Heavens, Lucifer, Drought Demonic God, Extreme Heavens Demonic God, Old Master Water Dragon, Old Master Crocodile and Old Master Thunder. This made up a total of 7 utmost powerful beings. Looking at the number of utmost powerful beings who had descended, Lin Fan's lips curled into a cold grin. Seems like all of you are accounted for. Lin Fan said. Mother Sea King Human King, hand over the legendary items. Between the heaven and earth here, you have nowhere to run now. The old Master Water Dragon said grimly. That's right, in the hands of 7 of us, it's not as though you can still run away once more, can you? Because of our carelessness the previous time around, you had managed to escape once. But, you're not going to get lucky again. Under the combined forces of these 7 utmost powerful beings, no matter who it was, they would definitely have to fall. However, for Lin Fan, even though there were only 7 utmost powerful beings here, this still beat having only a single one of them around. Lin Fan looked over at the old Master Thunder before laughing out calmly, "Since you guys want the legendary items, come and get them then." "Suppress him," the old Master Thunder roared out and struck out first. Next, the other utmost powerful beings followed suit. At the exact moment when all the other utmost powerful beings had struck out, the old Master Thunder seized the chance when they weren't paying attention to stand back slightly. "Haha, it's not as though I could be afraid of you guys. Come and whack me if you've got the guts." Lin Fan's heart leapt with joy before he squatted down while covering his head. Boom! 6 utmost powerful beings surrounded Lin Fan entirely and came forth with formidable attacks one after another, raining them down onto his body. At this moment, Lin Fan could only feel that his luck was simply way too good. If not for the fact that the great sage had helped him to level his physical body state to immemorial ancient full cultivation state, he might have been beaten to death physically by these 6 utmost powerful beings here. "Human, if you don't wish to die here and now, hand over those legendary items. You're FC King dreaming. Whack me to death if you've got the guts." Lin Fan covered his head before lying flat on the ground, allowing them to whack as they pleased. HMPH, courting death. The 6 utmost powerful beings focused all of their attention onto the body of this mother *C King human king here. To all of them, those legendary items of the heaven and earth were treasures amongst treasures. But, to think that this mother *C King human king would have obtained all of them. How could they possibly endure something like this? That's right, yours truly is courting death. Come and FCK up your daddy to death if you can. Lin Fan roared out. Leg after leg, they rained down kicks onto Lin Fan's body. Lin Fan hugged onto the thighs of one of the utmost powerful beings right now and continued, "Come on. Kick me to death. Damn it, let go of your ancestor, you damned human." Bam, wham, pow, bish. Lin Fan covered his face with his palms and allowed the utmost powerful beings to whack as they wanted. Either way, even if he were to brawl it out with them, he wouldn't be able to win it straight up. He might as well let them beat him to their heart's pleasure. After all, yours truly was a good person. These were already their final moments, so it was good to let them vent out all the desolate powers within their bodies right now. Time passed by the seconds and minutes. Soon, the 6 utmost powerful beings discovered that this human was too damned bloody resilient. For a moment or so, even they felt a tad tired. "Old Master Thunder, I heard that your Tao of the Thunder can torment one's heart and soul. How about you give it a try?" Suddenly, the old Master Devouring Heavens thought of the old Master Thunder. But, when he discovered that the old Master Thunder was not around them, he started looking left and right for the latter's presence. All of a sudden, the old Master Devouring Heavens realized that the old Master Thunder was floating silently in the void up above with lightning wrapped all around his body. A devastating aura was channeling out from within him. "Old Master Thunder, what are you thinking of doing?" the old Master Devouring Heavens asked in a stumped manner. Self-destructing." The face of the old Master Thunder was calm right now. When those horrifying words of self-destructing came out of the mouth of the old Master Thunder, they sounded like the most normal thing possible. "Don't, old Master Thunder, if you self-destruct here, we're all going to be implicated," the old Master Water Dragon yelled out. And at this very moment, Lin Fan stood up on his feet and twisted his neck left and right to stretch it. "Everyone, please remain silent. Let me do the explaining for the second half of this show and elaborate to you guys the sort of impact his self-destruction would create." Chapter 953 Just So FC King Close. Chapter 953, Just So FC King Close. At this moment, Lin Fan stood up as though he was all fine and dandy, straightening out his clothes. "Old Master Water Dragon, that kick of yours was excellent. However, it did not hurt at all." Lin Fan swept away the footprint off his clothes and chuckled out. "You." The face of the old Master Water Dragon froze up as he could not dare to believe everything before him. Just what in the world was going on right now? Why did this human seem as though there was nothing wrong with him? Could there have been some situation going on? "Old Master Devouring Heavens, what you said earlier on was absolutely right. If the old Master Thunder were to self-destruct, all of you would definitely be implicated by it." Lin Fan swept back his robes and placed his hands behind his back while speaking with a calm expression. "Alright, let me try explaining to you guys how the self-destruction is going to turn up. Now, the theory behind this self-destruction is relatively simple. Heat expands, coldness contracts. Even though those are only 4 words, yours truly garners that some of you may not have the scientific background to understand it. Therefore, let me simplify it even further. The body of the old Master Thunder can be seen as a gigantic pot right now. Within it, there is the universal elixir, eternal God seat, paradise, essence spirit and many other things which possess an incredible amount of energy. Right now, they are all huddled and fusing together while expanding out. Can anyone imagine the amount of power that could be derived from this explosion later on? Now, I know that you've already gotten the gist of things, old Master Crocodile. But, I think it'd still be better for me to do the explanations. The moment Lin Fan saw that the old Master Crocodile was about to open his mouth, he naturally did not give the latter the chance to do so. If we were to assume that the full powers of a single strike of the old Master Thunder were to be placed at level 1, the amount of power that would be emitted from the self-destruction would be at level 5. That is a complete 5 whole times of power. Lin Fan continued. After he was done, all the expressions of the utmost powerful beings changed in a flush. The old Master Water Dragon was even roaring madly right now. Just what in the world do you want, old Master Thunder? The old Master Thunder did not reply at all as he continued to accumulate power. His body gave a cracking sound as tears appeared on his body. It was as though there was some horrifying power that couldn't wait to burst out of his body. Oh, that's right, I forgot to tell you guys. The old Master Thunder has already been tamed by me. Naturally, I was the one who colluded with him to lure you guys out. Lin Fan sniggered. How could this be? All the utmost powerful beings were taken aback right now. Suddenly, everything did not seem too right to them. Just what in the world are you thinking of doing? With such a proximity, you will definitely not be safe either. The utmost powerful beings were starting to fluster. This was no ordinary powerful being that was self-destructing, it was the old Master Thunder. Go, let us hurry and leave. Lucifer roared out. How would he dare to continue staying here any longer? Pishu, Pishu. A series of figures bolted out into the void. However, they soon found that their paths forward had been blocked. Don't fight back anymore, guys. I've already laid down the seal for the entire place with the old Master Thunder. Even if you utmost powerful beings want to remove the seal, it would take you guys at least the duration of a single burning joss stick. But, what a pity that the time left before the old Master Thunder self-destructs is a mere 10 seconds now. Lin Fan chuckled out calmly, totally unbothered by anything. Old Master Devouring Heavens and the others looked at Lin Fan in a rage. Mother *C King Human King. Let us out of here and we will definitely not pit ourselves against you in the future. Otherwise, you're going to be dragged into this as well. That's right, given your strength, you would definitely not be able to withstand this either. The old Master Crocodile said. Lin Fan waved it off with his hand dismissively before chuckling out, guys, don't overcomplicate matters now. The one and only tool to resist the self-destruction is this. At this moment, Lin Fan took out the heaven and earth smelt. When the utmost powerful beings caught sight of the heaven and earth smelt, they were stunned for a moment. This is called the heaven and earth smelt, and is the toughest existence in the world. Even the self-destruction will not deal any damage to it at all. But naturally, yours truly is the only one who has this plaything. As for you guys, not so lucky. The moment Lin Fan was finished with his sentence, a large growl boomed out. Arg! The voice of the old Master Thunder howled out as the power within his body had expanded to the pinnacle state. The power of destruction that he had been channeling was finally at its breaking point where he wanted to burst forth with it all right now. Mother *C King Human King, you can't do that. The utmost powerful beings cried out. There's no time left. Lolkthexby. Lin Fan did not waste any crap on them and hid within the heaven and earth smelt immediately. Shrink, shrink. Instantly, Lin Fan shrunk the heaven and earth smelt into the size of a dust particle. Now, all of those utmost powerful beings who wanted to use the heaven and earth smelt as a shield and hide behind it had no choice left. How could this be? That be *starred. The utmost powerful beings were incensed. Legendary items, protect my body. Devouring the heavens and consume the earth. I shall remain indestructible for all eternity. The Tao of the extreme heavens. Indestructible worldly limits. At this moment, these utmost powerful beings burst forth with all the strength they had to even suck milk from titties with. They were truly fearful right now. They truly hadn't expected that something as such would happen. An utmost powerful being self-destructing. If not for the fact that they were about to witness it right now, they would have thought that this was entirely impossible. Bam! Just as the utmost powerful beings were still stuck in their disbelief, the old Master Thunder ruptured forth. All of the energy that had been accumulated burst forth as that formidable power ripped the entire heaven and earth apart right away. The light was bedazzling as the entire world fell into a state of nothingness. When the utmost powerful beings of the other worlds felt the reverberations of this power, their hearts skipped a beat as their faces changed. They had felt it. This was an utmost powerful being's self-destruction. Everything in the radius of 1,000,000,000 miles could feel the aftermath of the shockwaves. This was especially the case for this desolated world right here that crumbled apart and returned to its source. Even if it were the seal that Lin Fan had laid down together with the old Master Thunder, it could not help but disintegrate and disappear in the face of this power. Lin Fan hid within the heaven and earth smelt and witnessed the resplendent world before him turning into ashes. At that moment, he felt like leaping up in shock. This was way too strong, wasn't it? Those utmost powerful beings shouldn't be killed right away by this, right? If they were, he was going to make such a huge loss. They had to stay alive even with just a single breath of life so that Lin Fan could kill them and obtain their experience points. The quakes were endless as the heaven and earth smelt vibrated intensely as well. However, these shockwaves did not do any damage to it at all. It was only after a long time that the quakes finally came to a stop. Lin Fan looked through the heaven and earth smelt at the outside world. It was over. With that, Lin Fan exited the heaven and earth smelt immediately. But, when he caught sight of the situation outside, he was utterly dumbfounded. How could this even still be considered a world? It was utterly and entirely turned into nothingness. The place was pitch black where he could not see up ahead at all. Everything in here, even time, space, laws, and everything else, ceased to exist completely. Lin Fan's body burst forth with a glaring radiance that penetrated through this pitch-black nothingness before him. That is. At this moment, Lin Fan caught sight of a pile of flesh and blood floating out before him. In fact, there was even a feeble consciousness that was emanating out of that pile of flesh and blood. Mother *C King, Human King, I, the Old Master. Devouring Heavens, will never. Old Master devouring heavens, persevere on for just a little bit longer. I'm coming over now. Lin Fan hadn't expected that the Old Master devouring heavens would be blown apart till this single piece of meat was all that he was left with. This had the former was absolutely confounded. This was way too bloody savage, wasn't it? But, when Lin Fan cleaved down with the eternal axe and slain the piece of meat into bits, he did not receive any notifications from the system. For a moment or so, Lin Fan was just stupefied. Holy FCK, I was just so FC King close. Lin Fan hadn't expected that the Old Master devouring heavens could not even hold out for such a short period of time and had died just like that. Chapter 954 So miserable. Chapter 954, so miserable. Old Master devouring heavens, you mother *C King dog. To think that you wouldn't even let me chop you down at your death. Lin Fan was enraged right now. Who knew how many neurons he had destroyed in order to plan out everything? And yet, this Old Master devouring heavens. Good job. In just that split fraction of a millisecond, just that sliver of time and those heaven-revolting experience points had escaped the grasp of his hands. This was a severe pain. Lin Fan had never once felt a pain as such. Now that 2 out of the 7 utmost powerful beings were already dead, there were only 5 of them left alive. If all 5 of them were to die just like this, Lin Fan would even harbor thoughts of committing suicide. It was only now that Lin Fan realized that everything was far from what he had imagined it to be. The strength of the Old Master Thunder was simply way too strong, so strong that even Lin Fan was feeling a little fearful right now. Amongst the utmost powerful beings, the strength of Old Master devouring heavens wasn't all that weak. But, to think that even he would be blown up to death. This was something that Lin Fan hadn't expected at all. He was in a crazed search right now. Lin Fan did not have high expectations. As long as there were 3 utmost powerful beings alive, that would do as well. Alright, fine, even if it were a little less, even 2 would do. If there were only 1 or none left, Lin Fan would truly have to puke out blood. That would mean that all the hard work that he had put into this was all for naught. Utmost powerful beings, where are you guys? I'm here to save you guys. Lin Fan yelled out. Within this pitch-black darkness, it was really no easy task to look out for those surviving utmost powerful beings. Is there no one left alive? Lin Fan shouted out while searching. There wasn't even a single ghost in this pitch-black darkness here. And just at this moment, at a black place not too far from him, a small piece of bloodied meat was pulsating. Damned mother *C King Human King. I'm going to kill you. The Old Master Crocodile was roaring at this moment. However, because his injuries were way too severe, that rendered the old master crocodile incapable of crossing the void to leave this place. He hadn't expected the self-destruction of the old master thunder to deal him this much damage. If not for the fact that his skin was tough by nature, he would most probably have already been dead by now. Damn it, given the current injuries sustained, I will definitely not be able to recover fully without at least 10,000 years or so. The old master crocodile was filled with hatred in his heart. His paradise had crumbled down, resulting in a huge loss for him. However, right now, even if it were an ant, the old master crocodile might very well be killed by that. If he were discovered by the Mother *C King Human King, the consequences would be unimaginable. Mother *C King Human King, just you wait. The old master crocodile swore to the heavens that he would never ever trust anybody from now on forth. This Mother *C King Human King was simply way too crafty. That dog's old master thunder. If he wanted to die, he should have just died alone. To think that all of them would be dragged into this mess. Damn it, god damn it. And just as that pulsating bloodied meat of the old master crocodile was slowly trying to crawl its way into the distance, he felt a chilling feeling appearing behind his back all of a sudden. At the same time, there was a disturbing gaze that seemed intent on devouring him down entirely. That was something that was extremely frightening. Old master crocodile, you're quite the good example. After searching for a good, long time, Lin Fan had finally discovered a square piece of bloodied meat that was trying to crawl away slowly. That had Lin Fan in a state of total ecstasy. Finally, after all this time, he had found one. Motherfucking Human King. The voice of the old master crocodile was filled with fear right now. He was in a state where he was totally defenseless and helpless. Facing the motherfucking Human King now would leave him with no other path but death. Mother *C King Human King, how about we talk things out properly? See, can't we just get along in peace? The old master crocodile begged out sorrowfully and pleaded. He truly did not want to die. If he were to die right here, he would be left with nothing at all. All those powers that he had accumulated over countless of eras would vanish like smoke, and that path of transcending up ahead would be cut off from him forever. What do you think? Right now, Lin Fan's mood was awesome. The fact that he was even able to find one meant that he wouldn't make a loss at least. Please let me go, I beg of you. I'm willing to be your helper. No, I'm willing to be your slave. Anything as long as you let me go. The old master crocodile begged out. Lin Fan sniggered out and held the bloodied piece of meat of the old master crocodile in his hands. You're not the simple guy, are you? The fact that you're able to survive the self-destruction of the old master crocodile means that you've got some capabilities. However, all of that is just nice to compliment the achievements of yours truly. Lin Fan sighed out. The old master crocodile could sense that there was no way the Mother *C King Human King was going to let him off now. With that, he started getting agitated. Mother *C King Human King. Your ancestor is never going to let you off. Your ancestor. But just at this moment, the voice of the old master crocodile seemed to be getting hurried. That scattered consciousness of his that he had only managed to regroup after much efforts was actually showing signs of breaking down once more. Holy FCK, I can't let you die for nothing. Lin Fan could sense that the feeble aura of the old master crocodile seemed as though it could dissipate at any moment now. Without hesitating, he used some strength and squeezed the piece of meat to sludge instantly. With that, the only remaining consciousness of the old master crocodile vanished like the air. Ding, congratulations on killing old master crocodile. Ding, experience points plus. To think that I didn't get to level up. That's quite a pity now. Lin Fan expressed his exasperation. At the same time, there was nothing that popped out of him killing the old master crocodile. Evidently, everything of his had already been destroyed in that single explosion just now. All of a sudden, Lin Fan realized that there seemed to be some commotion happening up ahead. He saw two pieces of bloodied meat trying their best while pulsating up ahead. Old Master Water Dragon, help me to block first. Once I've recovered, I will definitely gather all the demonic gods of the ancient race to help you take revenge. This piece of bloodied meat was the drought demonic god. He hadn't expected that this would be the final outcome of things. If not for the fact that he had used the extreme heavens demonic god as a meat shield, he might have long been blown up to death. For the drought demonic god, it was a right choice for him to dupe the extreme heavens demonic god over this time around. At least, that was a move that helped him keep his life. In the past, there had been utmost powerful beings who had self-destructed as well. Even though he knew that the self-destruction of utmost powerful beings was extremely powerful, he hadn't experienced it for himself. But now that he knew that it wasn't extremely powerful. It was just bloody downright sick. Novel.b in.c ohm. To think that even with their cultivation state, they wouldn't be able to defend against it. How sick was that? Scram, drought demonic god. You help your ancestor to block first and your ancestor will help you seek revenge in the future. The injuries of the old master water dragon were extremely grave. Although he was in tremendous pain, he did not dare to cry out. If he cried out, he was afraid that horrifying mother *Sea King Human King might be lured here. This time around, he had truly comprehended just how underhanded that mother *Sea King Human King was. This bloody mother *Sea King dog of an old master thunder. Bloody hell, he just had to drag them down into the waters after he was dead meat himself. He was worse than a beast. To think that he had trusted the old master thunder so much in the past, and yet he had sold them out. Old master water dragon, your life's essence energy has already been depleted and destroyed. If you want to recover, you wouldn't be able to do so unless it takes you 10,000 years or so. Just protect me and let me leave this place. Once I get back to the ancient race, with the help of the other demonic gods, I will only require a couple of years to recover. By then, I'll help you take revenge and have this mother *Sea King Human King killed mercilessly. The drought demonic god said. Scram, after the old master water dragon scolded out with that single roar, he started crawling ahead with all his strength as he cussed in his heart. This time around, the losses were simply way too great that he could barely deal with it any longer. If he were to be discovered by that mother *Sea King Human King, the only path left for him was definitely that of death, without a single scrap of him left. And just at this moment, an eerie snigger traveled over that had the both of them freezing up immediately. To think that there are two more. Lin Fan was overwhelmed with joy. Lamb _ make it 4 in total please. Make him level up. Chapter 955 Plentiful Rewards. Chapter 955, Plentiful Rewards. Old Master Water Dragon, Drought Demonic God, what are you guys hurrying for? Let us have a good talk, shall we? Lin Fan floated in front of these two pieces of bloodied meat and smiled out. To think that there were two that were still alive. This wasn't a waste of his efforts after all. Old Master Thunder, you haven't sacrificed your life for nothing now. Actions speak louder than words. With this, you've proven that you're way stronger than anyone else. To be able to FCK over 6 utmost powerful beings with a single self-destruction. Now that was indeed extremely formidable. The moment they heard this voice, the old master water dragon and the drought demonic god were both stunned. That was followed by a tragic wail. Oh, mother *Sea King Human King. The both of us have no grudges with one another. Please spare us. The old master water dragon begged out. All of this was the idea of the old master thunder. This has nothing to do with us. I am a demonic god of the ancient race. You mustn't kill me. As long as you let me off, I can let bygones be bygones. The drought demonic god begged as well. He hadn't expected that this would be his eventual outcome. Had he known that this would be the case, he wouldn't have come here even if someone threatened him with his life. Everything, every single thing, was the fault of that old master thunder. Highs, how sad. Lin Fan spread open his palms and grabbed the two pieces of bloodied meat in his hands. These two pieces were all that remained of those two utmost powerful beings. Even a normal being would be able to kill the both of them right now. That was enough to tell how devastating that explosion from earlier on was. For an utmost powerful being to be blown into such a state, even if it were Lin Fan's immemorial ancient full cultivation state physical body, he might not have been able to hold out either. Right now, the old master water dragon and the drought demonic god had zero ability to fight back at all. They understood clearly that their lives and deaths were in the hands of this mother *Sea King Human King. If they wanted to live, the only way out was to talk things through with the mother *Sea King Human King. But, looking at the current situation, that didn't seem like it would be easy. Mother King Human King, just what in the world do you want? The old master water dragon was feeling an immense hatred in his heart. Back in the past, he was always high and mighty up above everyone else. Yet, to think that he would fall into the hands of this Mother King Human King. How could the old master water dragon possibly endure this? Novel.b in.c ohm. Oh, I don't want anything much, just your lives, that's all. Lin Fan laughed out merrily. That smile of his looked ever so sinister right now. Mother *Sea King Human King, let me go. I'm willing to give you an endless amount of wealth and all the power you can possibly crave for. The drought demonic god truly did not wish to die. He hadn't lived long enough just yet. He still wanted to transcend. Slosh. The moment the drought demonic god spoke up, Lin Fan squeezed his palm and turned his remaining self into dust. Ding. Congratulations on killing drought demonic god. Ding. Cultivation state leveled up. Cultivation state. Immemorial ancient state upper level. At that moment, Lin Fan could feel a tremendous surge of power that was rumbling out within his body. This was the feeling of being invincible. Now that his cultivation state had been raised, he was feeling extremely exhilarated. However, the amount of experience points he required to level up from immemorial ancient state upper level to full cultivation state was as vast as the ocean. When the old master water dragon caught sight of how this mother *sea king human king had killed the drought demonic god, his tone was filled with fright. He then started pleading, please. I'm begging you, as long as you don't kill me. Just don't kill me. Back when you guys decided to pit yourself against yours truly, your fates had already been determined. All of you shall do nothing but aid yours truly in reaching my pinnacle state. Lin Fan laughed out coldly before using some slight strength. Bam! The consciousness of the old master water dragon was destroyed. From this day forth, there would no longer be the existence of the old master water dragon anywhere in this world. Ding! Congratulations on killing old master water dragon. Ding! Experience points plus. That amount of experience points instantly allowed that vast quota of experience points to be filled up slightly with a bolus. However, there was still quite a bit of distance from reaching that full cultivation state. But for Lin Fan, none of this mattered. Full cultivation state was something that would eventually come to him. It shouldn't be long before he would be there. The only thing that had him slightly disappointed was the fact that the old master water dragon and the drought demonic god both did not pop out any items either. Evidently, they must have also used all of their legendary items to try and defend against the self-destruction of the old master thunder, thus causing everything to evaporate into dust. There wasn't even a single martial arts mystic skill that could be obtained from them. That was an extreme pity. There are still two other utmost powerful beings left. I wonder if they're still alive. Lin Fan continued searching. However, to his disappointment, even after searching for an entire round, he still could not find any remnants of the meat and flesh of those two utmost powerful beings. Just as Lin Fan was wallowing in his disappointment, he caught sight of a red light up ahead that attracted his attention. Pishu. But when Lin Fan bolted over, he could not help but be filled with regrets. Seems like I was too late again. To think that this Lucifer would have just died like that. This bloodied meat here belonged to Lucifer. However, even this utmost powerful being did not manage to hold out. Lin Fan went to search around once more, and when he eventually reached a dead corner, he found the flesh and meat of the extreme heavens demonic god. But, the latter had passed away as well, without any bit of aura left in him. This was something that had Lin Fan really crestfallen. But, on the whole, this plot that he had deployed this time around did not cause him a total loss. Being able to kill three utmost powerful beings directly and raising his cultivation state to upper level state meant that he wasn't too far off the full cultivation state right now. As long as he were to continue working hard, it shouldn't be much of an issue for him to level up to the full cultivation state. Lin Fan looked at the nothingness in the void around him and shook his head, to think that I would cause everything to be wrecked as such in a moment of carelessness. This is pretty pitiful as well. Without any hesitation, he dove right into the void and headed off into the distance. But, what Lin Fan did not know was that after he left, there were a pair of frightful eyes observing everything that was happening in horror. When the 7th old dog had caught sight of everything, he had long been scared till he was almost pissing on himself. He hadn't expected this mother *sea king human king to have this much of an impact that he could scam and kill so many utmost powerful beings. This was way too sick. Initially, he had wanted to pit himself against Lin Fan till the very end. But right now, 7th old dog swore that before he was done with accomplishing the major affairs of his master, he would not risk his life to fight this crafty mother *sea king human king. Even though 7th old dog had bowed down to that mysterious person, he wasn't someone who could possibly stand being the dog of someone else just like that. He was hatching a plot of his own and waiting for the very last moment to descend. All 7 utmost powerful beings here had fallen. Even though news of this had not spread out, many of the demonic gods of the ancient race could already feel that the drought demonic god and the extreme heavens demonic god had fallen. In the hearts of all the demonic gods and utmost powerful beings, a sense of seriousness was bubbling quietly. This was the most severe event that had happened in the countless of eras so far. And at this moment, Lin Fan was just traversing across the void. After all, that place no longer had any reason for him to linger behind. He could feel that his current strength was already enough for him to fight it out against many of those utmost powerful beings. His consistent hiding had allowed those utmost powerful beings to assume that he was a pushover to be bullied. And right now, Lin Fan felt that it was about time for him to display his true strength and suppress everything so that those utmost powerful beings could understand that he was no weakling. As for the humans back in the Xuanwang world, there had been many geniuses who had been produced by this time. However, it wasn't something easy if he wanted to allow those geniuses to reach a divine celestial level 10, eternal God state in just the Xuanwang world alone. For that to happen, the human race had to be established. They needed to have a firm footing in this world here. And just as Lin Fan was contemplating about all these things, an aura far in the distance attracted his attention. This aura, didn't it belong to that cheap master of his? Lamb underscore ha ha ha. It's been a long time. And to be honest, Feng Qingzi did treat Lin Fan pretty nicely. Let's see where the plot moves to this time round. Cheers. Chapter 956 You were the one who called me that yourself. Chapter 956 You were the one who called me that yourself. Feng Qingzi, you don't have to resist anymore. There's no way out for you now. Up ahead, a group of ancient race beings were surrounding an old man. The aura of these ancient race beings was far from ordinary, and they were all supreme state beings. Ever since the infinite worlds had fused together, the strength of all the beings of the various races had skyrocketed. There were as many divine celestial state beings as dogs now, while supreme state beings were to be found everywhere as well. This was an altogether new major era. All the races out there had hopped onto the bandwagon of this era and attained a higher cultivation state. Even Feng Qingzi was a supreme state being right now. However, he was living quite the wretched life nowadays. In front of so many supreme state beings, he was being suppressed left and right, without any room to fight back at all. All he could do was protect himself. Damn it, ever since the infinite worlds had fused together, the guarded grounds had been destroyed. Because of that, he became a homeless old man who could only wander around the infinite worlds. Because his strength wasn't all that weak, he had gained the advantage back when the infinite worlds had just fused together, and raised his cultivation state to supreme state middle level. But, because of the issue of resources, his cultivation process then lost out way too much compared to the geniuses of the other races. Right now, Feng Qingzi was surrounded by the ancient race beings naturally due to the reason that the guarded grounds had caused much trouble for the ancient race back in the past. Hence, all the ancient race beings hated Feng Qingzi to no ends. Later on, when the ancient race started getting stronger as well, they naturally all came looking for him. In the past few years, he had been subjected to an endless harassment by the ancient race. But this time around, things were different. Feng Qingzi hadn't expected that these ancient race beings here would possess the supreme state cultivation state as well. This was something that had Feng Qingzi pretty exasperated. Along this road of being hunted down, Feng Qingzi had used up all his methods before finally arriving at this point right here. Feng Qingzi, everything that you had done to our ancient race in the past is something we'll never ever forget about. I'm afraid you would have never guessed that things would get to this point, had you? One of the ancient race beings laughed out coldly. HMPH, you bunch of younglings don't know the first thing about respecting your elders. To think that you would chase after me for such a long time. Feng Qingzi was helpless right now. The strength of these ancient race beings was really strong, and far from being simple. Hue, Feng Qingzi, if you kneel down before us and beg, we might even let you have an easier death. Otherwise, we're going to spend our time tormenting you slowly and ensuring that you suffer a fate worse than death. Another ancient race being declared arrogantly. To him, this old man before him right now was already a fish trapped in a net. Wanting to make an escape was totally out of the equation at this point. With their torrential killing intent, the aura of these ancient race beings seemed extremely formidable. Back in the past, Feng Qingzi was considered was one of the most powerful beings in the entire ancient saint world. But, falling to such a state could truly be considered quite the tragedy for him. All of those juniors of his were now soaring up as though they were seated on rockets. That was undeniably a heavy blow for Feng Qingzi. However, against these ancient race beings, Feng Qingzi wasn't fazed in the least bit. It was a pity though. Dog's tea, one of the ancient race beings started growling out sinisterly. But all of a sudden, it was as though his body had been rooted where he was. Creak, a series of cracks appeared on the body of that ancient race being as a bedazzling glow burst out of him. What's going on over here? All the surrounding ancient race beings were stumped as they could not figure out what was happening. On the other side, Feng Qingzi was equally bewildered himself. When he jerked his head around, all he saw was a composed figure that was floating up in the void. Lin Fan was extremely calm right now. Having changed his appearance, his aura was turbulent like that of a gigantic ocean, and was totally immeasurable. "Who are you? How dare you lay your hands on us?" Another ancient race being roared out. "HMPH. Lin Fan snorted out coldly. With that, the ancient race being who had just spoken met with the same end as the previous one, with his body tearing apart and bursting open with a bright burst of light. When Feng Qingzi caught sight of everything, he could not help but take in a deep breath of cold air. So strong. Initially, he hadn't managed to see clearly how the other party had struck out. But right now, it was evident that a single cold snort was enough to take down the ancient race beings. The strength he possessed was ever so terrifying. This was no longer the capability that a supreme state being could possess. This was definitely a powerful being of the immemorial ancient state, or perhaps someone who could even stand shoulder to shoulder against the utmost powerful beings. "Thank you for rendering your assistance, senior." In front of a powerful being as such, how could Feng Qingzi dare to act insolently? Therefore, he naturally greeted the other party politely. "Oh yes, little Feng. It has been a long time since I've seen you. Your cultivation state doesn't seem all that amazing, Lin Fan spoke up. Feng Qingzi had initially thought that this mysterious, powerful being was only just passing by. But, when he heard that the other party knew who he was, he seemed somewhat taken aback. "Excuse me, senior, but you are?" Feng Qingzi asked curiously. At this moment, Lin Fan waved out his hand domineeringly. The other two ancient race beings were confounded at this moment. They knew that they were definitely no match for this fella before them. Therefore, they sliced out at the void and dove in, wanting to escape immediately. Trying to run, dream on. Lin Fan grabbed out at the void with his hands. In the next moment, two little explosions boomed out within the endless void. Bam, bam. When the two ancient race beings dove into the void, they had thought that they were safe for sure. But, who would have thought that a single gigantic hand would appear right in their faces? When the 5 fingers closed together, they were trapped within the palms of that hand. With some slight strength exerted out, there was nothing left of them as they were crushed into dust. So terrifying. When Feng Qingzi caught sight of this, his face changed drastically. This was a strength that had already surpassed everything. Even if it were an ordinary immemorial ancient state being, he or she might not possess a strength as such. To think that even 2 pieces of trashes would think of trying to escape from the palms of yours truly. They've got to be dreaming. Lin Fan muttered softly, totally disregarding the existence of those ancient race beings. Cough, cough. "Say, little Feng, how have you been doing recently?" Lin Fan chuckled out while asking. "May I know who you are, senior?" Feng Qingzi asked carefully. At the same time, there was something bugging him in his heart. This senior seemed to be really familiar with him. But for the moment, Feng Qingzi truly could not figure out just who this person before his eyes was. "Take a look at who I am." Lin Fan revealed his true face. When Feng Qingzi caught a proper sight of who was before him, he exclaimed out. "So it's you, lad." Feng Qingzi couldn't believe his very eyes right now. To think that this big show-off before him would be none other than that cheap disciple of his. "That's right, it's me. I am that legendary senior you were referring to." Lin Fan chuckled out. On the other side, Feng Qingzi's face turned darker and darker. He then shouted out, "Good. Very good. To think that you would dare to play a prank as such on your master. You'll see if your master doesn't teach you a lesson for this." "Ha ha, it's none of my business. You were the one who chose to call me your senior. But honestly, old man, aren't you leveling up way too slowly right now?" Lin Fan dodged left and right while sniggering out. "Damn it, I have to teach you a good lesson today, lad." Feng Qingzi was angered. To think that this lad would play him for a fool. If word of this were to get out, wouldn't he turn into a laughingstock? But, it was just that the cultivation state of this lad was way too overkill, wasn't it? The fact that he could have grown to such an extent was something that had Feng Qingzi horrified beyond anything else. Chapter 957 I am malnourished. Chapter 957, I'm malnourished. To think that you would have grown to such an extent over these past few years, lad. Feng Qingzi remarked out. In his eyes, he clearly knew that this cheap disciple of his was extremely extraordinary compared to everyone else. But, back when the infinite worlds had fused together and all the other beings of the thousands of races had skyrocketed in terms of cultivation, he had assumed that this cheap disciple of his wouldn't be able to catch up with the rest of the living beings anymore. But, now that they were meeting with one another once more, Feng Qingzi was left entirely speechless. It was only a few short years, but his results were way different even from those who had sat on a rocket and soared above. Average, I suppose. It's just that there are many utmost powerful beings of the different races right now. Compared to them, I'm still that bit off. Lin Fan replied, that's right, old man, why are you alone now? Back in the guarded ground, wasn't there another old man? At this moment, Lin Fan realized that Feng Qingzi's expression was slightly dejected. There have been too many things that happened in the past few years. Feng Qingzi shook his head slightly as though he did not want to talk about it. The past should just stay in the past. But you, lad, you're quite something, aren't you? I'm afraid that even if you meet those utmost powerful beings now, you're not going to fear them anymore, right? Feng Qingzi was undoubtedly pretty envious at this point. One could truly die from disappointment if they had to keep comparing themselves with others. To think that a disciple he had taken in the past had now turned way more amazing than he was. How was he to raise his head high in the future? Oh, it's nothing much. Lin Fan waved it off casually as though this was something not worth mentioning at all. Just a few words of praises and your head gets all big now, Feng Qingzi rolled his eyes. Everything about this disciple was good except for the fact that he was way too shameless. But, when he thought about how this disciple of his was able to stay alive up till now and even raise his cultivation state to such an extent, he supposed that this definitely had something to do with that shameless trait of his. Old man, do you wish to follow along with me? Lin Fan asked calmly. No, vel b in c om. But, when Lin Fan put his words so straightforwardly, Feng Qingzi felt that there was something wrong with it. Since when in the world had there been a master who followed his disciple? His face then changed. HMPH. Your master isn't in a state whereby he needs to follow his disciple. Hee, old man, alright, fine. It doesn't matter who follows whom between us. Back in the past, you've treated me so nicely. No matter what, I've got to protect you properly as well. How about we travel together then? This era will be the final era now, and also, I feel like something big is about to change soon. All of those utmost powerful beings might choose to start going all out now. Lin Fan said. How do you know so much? Feng Qingzi asked suspiciously. This lad knew a little too much, didn't he? He knew even more than Feng Qingzi himself. Who do you think I am? Lin Fan smiled confidently while pointing at himself. The disciple of Feng Qingzi. Feng Qingzi replied. Alright, fine. Lin Fan was speechless in the face of this. One might as well forget it and just let this old man have his pride for now. After all, the blows that he had received today were pretty huge as well. Even though he had that bit of his pride, the blow he received in his heart did not lessen at all. Since this disciple of mine is so filial, as your master, I guess I have no choice but to accept this and go along with you then. I'll give you the chance to support your master so that you can satisfy that filial heart of yours. The moment Lin Fan heard this, he cursed in his heart, shameless old man. But soon enough, as though he had thought of something, Lin Fan giggled out, old man, let me introduce you to some companions. Under the bewildered gaze of Feng Qingzi, Lin Fan swept his robes and released Chicken Big and the others. Cuckoo, that was so suffocating for your chickie. Woof, woof, what's going on? What's the situation? The moment Chickie and the others came forth, they looked left and right. But, when they caught sight of a single old man standing before them, they got pretty curious. Old man, let me do the introductions. This here is Chickie, this is his son, Chicken Big. And this is his son's friend, Tai Rishan. This man here is my master. He's old now and feeling lonely in his heart. You guys shall accompany him properly from now on, okay? Lin Fan said out. Kuktaku. So, to think that you're the master of my old bro. Naturally, I'll accompany you properly then. Chickie leapt up onto the head of the old man and plopped down his bum, sitting right on top of Feng Qingzi's head. I'm called Chickie. Chicken Big leapt up onto the left shoulder of Feng Qingzi as well before displaying one of his shiny accessories. I'm called Chicken Big. Finally, Tai Rishan leapt into Feng Qingzi's embrace. Woof, woof. I'm called Tai Rishan. Feng Qingzi was stunned right now. What was going on here? Where in the world did all of these strange-looking things pop out from? When Lin Fan caught sight of this, his lips curled into a grin. Hee. You want to be funny? I'll let my great pet army go accompany you properly then. Just as Lin Fan was thinking about such stuff, the void suddenly began to tremble. All of a sudden, Lin Fan's face changed as he sensed that something was wrong. This aura seemed too damned bloody familiar. When Feng Qingzi and the others felt this aura, Their faces turned pale with fright as well. This aura was way too powerful. This should be an utmost powerful being that was arriving. All of you go hide within my paradise first. Without any hesitation, Lin Fan swept his robes and kept Feng Qingzi and the others into his paradise immediately. He then looked up at the void warily. How did you manage to find me? Right now, Lin Fan was about to curse at someone's mother. He hadn't expected the Fire Water Empress to actually arrive here. Towards this B*TCH, Lin Fan was extremely careful. This B*TCH was crueler than anyone else, and she especially loved tormenting his little brother. The events of the previous encounter were still etched deep in his heart. If not for the fact that his battle prowess was pretty formidable, he would have long been sucked up into a dried corpse by the Fire Water Empress. But, to Lin Fan's exasperation, it was as though this Fire Water Empress had planted some tracking device on him. Each time she hunted him down, it seemed unusually easy for her. That was something that was way too horrifying. To think that the exclusive property of your Empress would have grown to such a state to be able to FCK over and kill 7 utmost powerful beings. That was something pretty startling for your Empress to find out. At this moment, a figure appeared between the heaven and earth. Those robes of fire and water fluttered along with the winds as that majestic disposition of an Empress shrouded the entire world. If this were in the past, Lin Fan might have truly been threatened by the presence of the Fire Water Empress alone. But, things were different now. Lin Fan's battle prowess was extremely formidable as well. Even if he were to fight an utmost powerful being right now, the odds were 7-3 right now. To be clear, Lin Fan stood at 7 while the other party stood at 3. What are you looking for me for? You can't be thinking of wanting to FCK me again, are you? I'm telling you, I'm extremely malnourished right now. If you FCK me, there's a high chance I'm going to die from that. Lin Fan had long developed a strong sense of resistance towards something like that. And, the main reason was because the previous time around had been simply way too savage. To think that he was FCKED continuously for a few years straight. If not for the fact that he had worked hard to strengthen his body and its quality, he might very well barf out even at the sight of the Fire Water Empress alone. What now? You do not wish to see your Empress? The Fire Water Empress barked out. It was as though if Lin Fan dared to reply with a yes, the outcome would definitely involve an endless amount of discipline. How could this be? Now that you're here, you have no idea how happy I am. Lin Fan said against his will. Good. The Fire Water Empress nodded her head, looked over at him. Your cultivation state is now enough for you to fight with utmost powerful beings. Then again, you're the exclusive property of your Empress. Naturally, I will not have you annihilated in this era. This time around, there is going to be a miraculous encounter. Come along with your Empress. The Fire Water Empress pointed out with her smooth, long finger and caused the void to vibrate. Instantly, Lin Fan could feel as though he was being enveloped by something. However, he did not resist at all and allowed the Fire Water Empress to do as she pleased. Bloody hell, the weak had no rights. If she said to go, he had to go. One fine day, he was definitely going to turn her obedient. Chapter 958 The Final Secret Ground. Chapter 958, The Final Secret Ground. Within the endless void, Lin Fan looked at the Fire Water Empress without saying anything at all. He just had to see where this Fire Water Empress was going to take him to. However, the thing that had him curious was the methods used by the Fire Water Empress, which were somewhat different. Just the way she was traveling across the void was different from how Lin Fan did it usually. It was as though she was just gliding through the long rivers of time. In the blink of an eye, the scenery before him changed. This place. When Lin Fan caught sight of everything before him, his expression changed slightly. To think that in a single blink of an eye, they had arrived at the Imperial Palace of the Fire Water Empress. Wasn't this too damned bloody fast? Lin Fan knew where the Imperial Palace of the Fire Water Empress was. This was 108,000 miles away from where he was, and required them to cross a decent number of worlds. Yet, to think that he would arrive here in the blink of an eye. This was pretty tyrannical indeed. When he caught sight of the maids before him, Lin Fan merely grinned. They could be considered as acquaintances now. And, when those maids looked at Lin Fan, their eyes shone with a look of respect. They knew that this man was the exclusive property of the Empress, and therefore, they naturally did not dare to dilly-dally. Come along with your Empress. The tone of the Fire Water Empress was unquestionable, but Lin Fan did not say anything. He was used to this by now. Following the Fire Water Empress, he came into a luxurious house. There was an exceptionally eye-catching gigantic bed in the middle. When Lin Fan saw the fire water empress who was standing there without making a single sound, he consciously walked to the side of the bed. He then slowly stripped off his clothes and laid down on the bed. Highs. What must happen, must happen. One can never avoid fate. But, since I can't avoid it, I might as well just enjoy it. Lin Fan shut his eyes and said out, come on then. I'm all prepared now. What are you doing? At this moment, the fire water empress, who was just standing there, frowned. Her tone wasn't all that friendly. Don't you mean to FCK me? Lin Fan opened his eyes and asked in bewilderment. HMPH, since when did your empress say that she was going to pamper you? The fire water empress scolded out harshly. What? Say so earlier man, that gave me quite the scare. Lin Fan stood up hurriedly and wore his clothes. Then, what are we here for? Your empress had wanted to tell you that the place I'm taking you to this time around is a secret ground where only the absolute powerful beings can enter. This is also the most mysterious place in this entire world. When we're there, you had better not create any trouble. Otherwise, even if it's your empress, I might not be able to guarantee your safety. The fire water empress spoke strictly. However, she could not hide that trace of worry within her eyes. It was not as though the fire water empress still did not know what this guy was like, right? However, this secret ground was a place which no one else would find out about unless they were utmost powerful beings. Initially, she had thought of not informing this fella. But on second thought, she decided to do it still. Since this man already had something going on with her, she could not bear to not let him know of this. However, what the fire water empress did not know was that even if she did not inform him, the great sage and the demonic god Pengu would also try their best to let him know. But, whether or not they could find Lin Fan was another issue altogether. I never ever create any trouble. Furthermore, I'm no weakling myself. Even if those utmost powerful beings want to kill me, that would depend on whether they have the capabilities to do so. Lin Fan set out in indignance. Your father was a goddamned bloody manly man. It was not as though he would need the protection of AB*TCH. This girl was just belittling him. That had better be the case then. The long, beautiful lashes of the fire water empress moved nimbly. Remember now, the secret ground is fraught with dangers. Even those utmost powerful beings would not dare to be careless within it. Even though your strength is pretty decent, you still have to watch out within this secret ground. At this moment, Lin Fan suddenly came to the realization that this fire water empress seemed to be caring for him quite a bit. Could this be the legendary, emotions blossoming with time? And, when he came to think about it, there was the possibility of that as well. After all, the previous encounter was one that lasted for a few years straight. There must definitely be some feelings blossoming from that. Oh, little water, I'd say, you can't be developing feelings for me, can you? Lin Fan asked softly. However, the moment the words came out of his mouth, the fire water empress flew into a rage. Ouch, ouch, don't start getting physical now. Alright, fine, I'm not going to spout any more nonsense. No more. Lin Fan waved it off with his hand hurriedly. Didn't he just make a joke? Did she have to get physical over it? Really now, some people just didn't have a sense of humor. How boring. However, the mention of this secret ground by the fire water empress did have Lin Fan feeling excited beyond anything else. He truly did not know what sort of a place this would be for even the fire water empress to turn so serious. The fire water empress was an utmost powerful being. Not only that, her strength was extremely sick. But, if even she felt that this was dangerous, could this be some sort of hell on earth? At this moment, Lin Fan's heart was filled with anticipation. He truly did not know what sort of treasures would lie within this secret ground. I'll come and fetch you 3 days later. After the fire water empress said these words, she dove into the void and left the place. Acting all mysterious and all, Lin Fan pursed his lips. By habit, he then observed everything in the Xuanwang world from a god's point of view. The development of the Xuanwang world was progressing really smoothly, and there weren't any huge problems. The devil's incarnate, Wang Xiaoming, had not let down on Lin Fan's efforts on him. He was doing tremendously well in there, and by now, he was already a divine celestial level 10, eternal god state being. As for all of the other destined children, they were doing pretty decent as well. Under the whipping of Wang Xiaoming, they had no choice but to progress and improve. Wang Xiaoming would basically take the initiative to harass these destined childs every month and cause a blistering headache for all of these destined children. They would then break down and yell in indignation, then enter a state of cultivating. Those 2 disciples of his, Zhichao and Juling, were working hard at cultivating as well. Their cultivation states were pretty decent. They were just short of an opportunity right now from reaching the Divine Celestial level 10. But, the one who had Lin Fan surprised the most was Mie Changqi. He had been hiding in seclusion the entire time, and to think that his cultivation state would reach the supreme state lower level. Perhaps, Mie Changqi was the strongest existence in the entire Xuanwang world right now. Lin Fan then looked over at Zhan Yongxian, his wife. She was also locked up in seclusion at this moment. Perhaps, it was because she knew that there are many dangers outside the Xuanwang world, and the only way she could help out Lin Fan was by raising her own strength. However, all of this was still ever so insignificant when compared to the utmost powerful beings. Right now, Lin Fan was in possession of 4 worlds. And, the strongest living beings were the ones that were in his paradise. Following closely after was the Bat world, the Xuanwang world, and finally, the Earth. Regarding Earth, Lin Fan did not have any plans for the beings there. That was because the living beings there were simply way too weak. Even if he gave them sufficient time right now, they might not even be able to get up to speed. After all, time wasn't the only factor when it came to the difference. There was also one's resources to consider. 3 days later, the Fire Water Empress appeared before Lin Fan. Come with me, remember now, do not create any trouble. The Fire Water Empress reminded Lin Fan once more. Got it. Although he did not know how long it had been, Lin Fan knew that it definitely had been quite some time. If even an utmost powerful being such as the Fire Water Empress who could even glide through the rivers of time had to spend such a long time to travel, the distance required must definitely not be any mere normal distance. When Lin Fan caught sight of everything before him, his inner heart froze up entirely. Bloody hell, just where is this place again? In front of Lin Fan were 2 stone doors which he could not even figure out the height of, sealing up the heaven and earth. There were countless mysterious runic symbols that were etched on it. In fact, there was even an unknown god chain that was locking up both of these stone gates tightly. An eternal and ancient aura emanated out from behind those doors. This aura could have anyone feeling insignificant in the face of it, and just succumb to it entirely. Just what in the bloody world is this? Lamb _ all right now, I hope to have some godly secrets hidden in this place to satiate my lust for a good plot. Let's go. Chapter 959 Give me a little face. Chapter 959, Give me a little face. What is this place? Lin Fan asked furtively. Don't speak, the Fire Water Empress said curtly, then glared at the stone gates with a serious look in her eyes. There was an extremely ancient aura emanating out of the stone gates. Even if it were utmost powerful beings who were facing it, they would definitely feel their hearts pounding in the face of it. This aura wasn't something that should exist in this world. This was the aura from the secret grounds. Lin Fan pursed his lips. If she didn't want to say, so be it. What was so great about this? However, the stone gate before his eyes did attract his attention. Just what sort of things were these 2 stone gates, and what was the existence that was waiting beyond all of this? All of this had Lin Fan immensely curious. If I can give it a touch, the system should be able to give me some hints about it. At this moment, that was the thought that entered Lin Fan's mind. In his eyes, there was nothing the system couldn't do. But, just as he was thinking of sneakily copying in a feel, there was a vibration up in the void above. Obviously, an utmost powerful being had appeared. Following closely after, utmost powerful beings started appearing one after another. At the same time, there were demonic gods of the ancient race as well. In this short period of time, be it demonic gods of the ancient race or utmost powerful beings, all of them appeared floating up in the void. When they looked at the 2 stone gates before them, all of their eyes let out solemn expressions. This was the final secret ground. Whether or not they could transcend, this was a key part of it. When Lin Fan looked at the dense clusters of figures that had gathered up in the void, his little heart started beating furiously. All of these were utmost powerful beings. If he could kill all of them, who knew how many experience points that would amount to? However, this was only a mere thought of Lin Fan's. If he truly tried to have them killed with just him alone, he might just end up dying after being crushed by them. Mother *C King Human King. At this moment, an utmost powerful being with a sharp eye caught sight of Lin Fan as his tone turned harsh. When the other utmost powerful beings and the demonic gods heard this remark, their head turned over in a flush as well. The Mother *C King Human King was their most hated existence amongst everyone out there. Back when the legendary items were spurting out, this Motherfucking Human King had taken a huge advantage of them by stealing everything right there. They could not wait to be able to kill this Motherfucking Human King cruelly. However, they hadn't managed to track down the location of this motherfucking human king the entire time. Who would have thought that the motherfucking human king would actually appear here? While you could have chosen to tread on the path of the heavens, you ended up stepping down into the closed doors of hell. How dare you appear here, mother***c king human king? The plague demonic god of the ancient race had a maddened expression on his face as he hollered out. His entire body was shrouded by a thick green mist. This was the mystic skill of the plague. Even if it were utmost powerful beings, they would have to face the corrosive powers with their full attention. This was an extremely formidable demonic god. At this moment, the demonic gods were not the only ones who were standing out. All the other utmost powerful beings had all cast their sights on Lin Fan as well. When Lin Fan caught sight of this situation, the first thought in his mind was to stand out there and quarrel back with these utmost powerful beings and the demonic gods. But just at this moment, the Fire Water Empress shielded Lin Fan behind her. HMPH. He is someone that belongs to your Empress. What are you guys thinking of doing? The tone of the Fire Water Empress was overbearing and her face was imposing. Against so many utmost powerful beings, she did not show any fear at all. The countless utmost powerful beings present frowned. Fire Water Empress, don't think that you can cover this human just because your strength is formidable. The only way we can let him off is if you can make him spit out those legendary items. The plague demonic god said. That's right, if we were to all strike out together, do you think that you can defend this human all alone? The old master of the moon race said. Whoever wishes to kill the mother***c king human king is pitting themselves against me. Just at this moment, the void exploded out as a tyrannical figure appeared in front of the masses. Great Sage. When Lin Fan caught sight of that figure, his heart leapt with joy. Pishu. A streak of light bolted over as the Great Sage emerged in that unrivaled armor of his, carrying an exceptional disposition and a torrential battle intent. Standing beside Lin Fan, his gaze swept through all the utmost powerful beings present. Who wishes to have a go with me? The Great Sage asked domineeringly before looking at Lin Fan. I went to look for you, yet I couldn't find anyone. Turns out that the Fire Water Empress had brought you here early on. Lin Fan smiled widely. He knew that if there were something as important as such, the Great Sage would definitely not forget about him. On the other side, the Fire Water Empress looked at Lin Fan with an astounded look. She truly hadn't thought that Lin Fan would be so chummy with the Great Sage. Great Sage, is this your battle armor? Lin Fan looked at the set of black battle armor that the Great Sage was donning and asked curiously. Through this black battle armor, Lin Fan could sense a boundless battle intent as though it could tear through the entire firmaments. This battle intent was infinite and something that was absolutely unmatched. After wearing the battle armor, the powers of the Great Sage could be said to have increased by another half of what he originally had, pushing him straight into the upper echelons amongst the ranks of the top utmost powerful beings. Yes, the Great Sage nodded his head. He had long scattered this battle armor out into various worlds countless eras ago. That was because when he donned this battle armor, he was no longer the peace-loving Great Sage. In its place, he was the utmost unyielding Great Sage who dueled the heaven and earth. Great Sage, you wish to cover this human as well. The many utmost powerful beings who were present did not cast away their idea of wanting to take down Lin Fan just because the Great Sage had arrived. It was just that they could feel that things were starting to get more troublesome with the Great Sage taking the side of the human. Ha ha ha, to think that you would have arrived here with the Fire Water Empress already, little buddy. That makes it much easier for me to locate you. At this moment, an extremely mighty voice boomed out from far in the distance. Boom. This voice was just like a thunderbolt that rattled the mental states of many utmost powerful beings present. All of their faces then changed together in a flash. When the demonic gods of the ancient race heard this voice, their faces changed starkly as though they bore a great hatred within them. An extreme power tore the void and shattered through the barriers of the void itself. Oh, it's Brother Pengu. When Lin Fan caught sight of who it was, his heart leapt with joy once more. That was the FC King way things should be. He was someone who had people backing him. The moment the demonic god Pengu appeared, the side of the utmost powerful beings fell entirely silent. Amongst the many utmost powerful beings, the strength of the demonic god Pengu was openly known as the number one, such that no one could stand in his way at all. And now that the demonic god Pengu was turning out to be all chummy with Lin Fan, the situation naturally took a shift. The brows of the Fire Water Empress furrowed. To think that this fellow would not only know the Great Sage, but be friends with the demonic god Pengu as well. This was truly something she would have never guessed. Everyone, please give me a little face here. Now that the final secret ground is about to open up, I hope that all of you can be more magnanimous. The demonic god Pengu commented. The faces of all utmost powerful beings present changed. Eventually, they could only nod their heads in agreement. Now that things had come to this, what else could they do? When the demonic god Pengu spoke up for him, it was not as though they could choose to not give him any face, could they? And, if they were to truly fight it out, there would definitely be injuries to be sustained. Not only that, this human was extremely sly. By then, it would no longer be certain who would be on the losing end anymore. This was especially if one were to account for the demonic god Pengu, whose powers were not something they could go straight up against. This was the representation of what it meant when one's power reached an extreme state. Since that's the case, forget it then. Eventually, all the utmost powerful beings could only let it go. However, Lin Fan could still sense some problems from their gazes. Who knew if they might seize the chance to kill him after entering the secret ground? However, Lin Fan wasn't afraid of this at all. After entering the secret ground, it was not certain who would be the one to die just yet. Right now, he was more concerned with exactly what those two stone gates were hiding. That was something that had him extremely curious. Perhaps, he would only find out the secrets within after entering it eventually. Lamb _ I think I've mentioned this before in an earlier chapter, but giving someone face is like giving someone respect. And in this case, the demonic god Pengu was especially polite when he said, everyone, so that should be enough to show his character and fortitude. So, what secrets lies behind those stone gates? I'm so excited to see what's up with everything. Cheers. Chapter 960 Living in the Secret Ground all this time. Chapter 960 Living in the secret ground all this time. Hue. Against all these utmost powerful beings, Lin Fan was still very much looking at them in contempt. The moment demonic god Pengu arrived, all of them cowered like dogs. If they were to at least stand up and fight back, Lin Fan could at least regard them as people with a backbone. But now, all he could do was scoff at them with a, hue. Brother Pengu, just what are these two stone gates? Since the Fire Water Empress refused to say anything, Lin Fan could only ask the demonic god Pengu then. After all, it wasn't as though the knowledge of the demonic god Pengu would be inferior to that of the Fire Water Empress. These two stone gates have existed for an extremely long time now. Even if it's us, we haven't been living longer than these two stone gates. Back in the past, we already knew of the existence of these two stone gates. However, we never ever managed to discover what was behind them. Back when we first awakened in this era, a message appeared in the minds of all the utmost powerful beings. If we wanted to transcend, we would have to go through these stone gates. These stone gates that had never ever opened before shall open up at this moment. As for what's behind them, none of us know any better. The demonic god Pengu replied. When Lin Fan heard everything that the demonic god Pengu said, his curiosity was piqued. Was there truly some god or something behind it? Perhaps, they would only discover what lied within after entering these stone gates. Creak. At this moment, a loud sound boomed out. The thick god chains that were wrapped around the stone gates started sliding. Each time they slid, it was as though the entire world was toppling over. Gulp. Lin Fan swallowed his saliva as he was slightly nervous right now. Towards this unknown existence, he had to maintain a wary heart. Watch out now, the stone gates are about to open up. The demonic god Pengu yelled out. Be it utmost powerful beings or the demonic gods, all of them had their eyes fixated on those stone gates cautiously. The god chains started moving and gradually disappeared from the stone gates. The moment they disappeared, there was a gigantic shockwave that was emitted from those sealed stone gates. This tremendous shockwave surged right into the sky, rattling the utmost powerful beings so badly that they stumbled back. Such a formidable power. Lin Fan's heart sank a little. To think that even a mere pair of gates could wield such power. This was something absolutely inconceivable. Creak. Those initially unyielding doors suddenly started quivering. It seemed that there was an endless amount of dust that had accumulated on top of them, such that a single tremor of this level seemed to have the entire world falling over. With just a single crack that was opened up, one could already sense the aura that was seeping out from behind those stone gates. Corrosive, ancient, and deep. Creak, creak. In just that short period of time, the stone gates had opened up widely. The unknowns that were facing them were pitch black like a galactic river at times and a light screen at others. It has opened up. Enter. The many utmost powerful beings did not wait any longer as they turned into streaks of light and dove right into the endless void. Penetrating beyond those stone gates, they entered this scene of uncharted grounds. Let us head forth as well. The demonic god Pengu said. Take care of yourself inside. The Fire Water Empress looked over at Lin Fan while saying, "Yes, you too," Lin Fan replied. Pishu. At that moment, thousands of streaks of light bolted towards those stone gates. Instantly, there was only silence outside the stone gates, an incomparable silence. No one knew what lied beyond these stone gates here. The moment they entered those stone gates, Lin Fan opened his eyes wide. His surroundings were as wide as a passageway. He tried looking for any traces of Pangu, the Fire Water Empress, and the Great Sage, but he could not find any of them. Just what in the world is this place? Lin Fan was bewildered. After a long time, he finally caught sight of a sliver of light. That's the exit. Without hesitating, Lin Fan increased his speed as he moved towards that sliver of light. By the time he next opened his eyes, the sight around him had him totally stumped. Just where is this? There were valleys and mountains around him. However, there were lava volcanoes just like those in Hell, and snowy plains like those of the Arctic regions. Not only that, there was even a deep and never-ending abysmal ground. A single glance over and there were 4 different environments visible. At the same time, there was no one around him. Even when Lin Fan sent out his consciousness, he was met with some sort of a resistance as his consciousness could not extend any further. Just what in the world was up with this? Lin Fan was extremely curious beyond anything else in his heart. He then wandered everywhere aimlessly to try searching. Where were the treasures, legendary items, anything that was concerning the issue of transcending? None of that existed. Lin Fan felt as though he had been deceived by others right now. After a long time, he did not even know where he had wandered off to. But all of a sudden, a ferocious beast howled out from beneath the ground. This was a beast that Lin Fan had never ever seen before. There were 3 heads, each of which seemed to be burning with raging flames that was redder than anything else could be. Those 3 pairs of purple eyes it possessed let out an extremely ferocious expression. Divine Celestial Level 8 State. Holy FCK. To think that some random creature would even possess such strength. Lin Fan was startled, feeling that everything was way too incredulous. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Just as Lin Fan was still lost in his thoughts, the entire ground started quaking as even more beasts started crawling out from beneath the ground. Dense and clustered, vast and boundless. There were too many of them to be counted. FCK my life. This is just a bloody secret ground, isn't it? Is there a need to make it this sick? Lin Fan suddenly realized that amongst these beasts, many were at the Divine Celestial Level 10 state. How could this be? How could ordinary beasts be this strong? And just as Lin Fan was about to strike out and suppress these beasts, he saw the mightiest beast out of all of them lowering that grand head of its and prostrating before Lin Fan. What is the meaning of this? You're letting me stand on top of you? Lin Fan was confused. Was this what the beast was trying to imply? And to Lin Fan's astonishment, the beast nodded his head. At this moment, Lin Fan was overwhelmed with joy. To think that these beasts would actually understand his language and would allow him to stand on their heads. That was weird. With a single leap, Lin Fan landed on the head of the beast. Not too bad, he said while patting the head of the beast. Roar. The beast roared out furiously, indicating his loyalty. Boom, boom. The grand beast army marched forward, causing the entire ground to tremble from their might. Lin Fan did not know where these beasts were taking him to. However, his heart was still filled with joy nevertheless. Could it be that these beasts had realized that he was way too handsome, and thus had decided to take him to go search for treasures? Other than this explanation, Lin Fan truly could not think of anything else. A long time later, Lin Fan was almost falling asleep by now when all of a sudden, the entire area quaked out as though there was some battle happening nearby. He jerked his eyes wide open and looked up into the distance, wondering what was going on ahead. There was a group of men and women who were elegantly dressed and floating up in the void silently. One of the men wielded a longsword in his hands and burst forth with a torrential swordwell, killing all the beasts before his eyes. He then grabbed out with outstretched fingers, and one by one, crystal shards flew out of the bodies of these beasts into his hands. The power of fire spirits that's obtained from these earth abyssal flame beasts is indeed useful. As long as we can kill 10,000 of them, we can cultivate out a fire spirit pill. The man was handsome and had an extraordinary disposition. Congratulations, senior brother. This secret ground has existed for a long time now. Within it are countless precious treasures and items left behind. This time around, the reason why we were able to enter this secret ground is all thanks to senior brother. One of the girls praised him respectfully. Don't worry about it. This secret ground has long been swept clean by the almighty beings countless of times and over. Right now, the things left are all normal items. But, even if they're normal items, they're definitely more than enough for us to make use of. The man replied. Senior brother, rumors have it that this place was created by the body of the heavenly Lord Shinfeng after he had fallen. I wonder which almighty being is the one who managed to obtain the heart of the heavenly Lord. All of these are but baseless rumors. The heavenly Lord is like a traceless being that even our sect has no records of. If this were a secret ground that was truly created with the body of the heavenly Lord after his fall, do you think that there would even be a chance for people like us to enter and get anything out of it? The almighty beings of those times would have long taken everything for themselves. Let us just focus on killing these earth abyssal flame beasts. There are too many sects that have made their way here this time around. If we were to waste any time, we might not be able to get anything at all. The man continued. There seem to be more earth abyssal flame beasts coming at us from up in the distance. Indeed, the world truly does give us anything we're lacking.